Let's see. 5, huh? Well, hello, everybody. And we've got 5 waiting, I see. Good to see you guys. Good evening. Apologies for a little earlier. We were going to try to get the stream up and going, the chat thing, but we had a little bit of technical difficulty. But you know how it is. It's a learning curve. We're still kind of new to the live aspect of it, and we'll get there. We'll get there. But anyway, it's good to see everybody again tonight. I just kind of figured, we'd kind of hang out for a little while and just kind of chat for a little while. Maybe if you guys had any questions or, anything you wanted to ask about. Uh, Hi, Terry. Just hanging out. Just hanging out. Terry said, "What's up?" Just kind of hanging out with you guys. I figured we just kind of, like I said, just hang out a little while and see if you guys had any questions about anything. And I did have 1 or 2 things that I wanted to show you guys here in a minute. Couple interesting, sort of. Hey, Tim, how you doing? But for now, got me some coffee, and I'm ready to hang out for a few minutes. Hope everybody's doing okay tonight. Got something I wanted to show you guys. Kind of hesitant about doing it, but here we go, right? Check this out. Let me get it centered. There we go. In case anybody's curious, yes, that's approximately about a 4-year-old Leo right there, about 1970. I'm going to guess 1972, something like that. She's got the plaid pants. On the bright side, guys, you can't blame me for that. I was only 4. It's Mom's fault. She did it. She's the one to blame, not me. That's some Brady Bunch junk right there, ain't it? Hey, SXS Rides, and Terry, and Charlie PC, Terry Lynch. Hello, everybody. Good evening. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to the channel. But like I said, I figure we'll do, realistically, until we get the stream up and running, when we can do from Jack Mountain. Tim Walters, how far are you from Jack Mountain? I'm not really sure. I'm not sure where Jack Mountain is. That's a new one on me. But until we can get, the stream up and running and all this kind of stuff, I figure when we're doing, videos and things like that, it would be kind of like watching TV, except you can talk to all the other people who are watching the TV with you. That should be fun. But until we get it up and running, we can still hang out and have some fun. Hi, Renata. That's my niece there, guys. Don't you remember me? SXS Rides. What's your name? I probably do. But anyway, like I was going to say, we can talk about anything you guys, want to talk about, whether it's trail rides, some of the videos we've done, just whatever you guys want to talk about. Sounds like fun to me. How you doing, Renata? Good to see you. Good to see you. Love you too. I'll look over my room now. I know it's the ugliest blue paneling in the world. It came with the house. You know how it is. You ever seen blue paneling? No. Just mine. But I don't know if y'all saw the video we just released today. Make one massacre site. Huh. My parents had blue paneling. Hint, LOL. SXS rides. Hint, Matawan massacre site. Jeff. Oh, hey Jeff. How you doing? How you doing, Jeff? Good to hear from you again. No, I didn't recognize who you were by your name. I do now. I do now. Renata said she likes the blue paneling. I've thought about painting it, but I mean, you know how it is. You go start painting paneling or something, and you just wind up with more of a mess. Ghost Eagle Guardian. I love your vids. You're amazing friend and great historian. Keep up the great work. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. You know, we try to find stuff. You know, it's a little interesting from time to time, but you know, thank you very much. I appreciate that. The SXS rides. We're divorced now. LOL. You'll have that, man. That's the way the universe works sometimes, ain't it? Sometimes, how's that saying go? Bear hunting. Sometimes you get the bear. Sometimes the bear gets you. I guess that's kind of how it goes, isn't it? Lori, my parents had dark brown paneling. Yeah, I remember. That's more like common, you know what, like walnut, you know, something like that. But I just thought it was really weird. But hey, we got a great deal on the house. What are you gonna do, right? Tim Walters, supposed to have relatives there from back in the 1800s. I do not doubt that a bit. I do not doubt that a bit. To be honest, I was actually surprised to find out how far back, you know, the history of Appalachia, you know, actually goes. I kind of figured it was much later. You would just assume that, you know, people weren't really coming into this crazy wilderness and stuff and going up in creeks, but they really were, you know, they really were doing it. Uh, Denise H. Hello from Columbus, Ohio. I'm a West Virginia once removed. My mother grew up in Putnam County and her family's from Putnam and Lincoln counties. I've been there a few times. Sure have, sure have. I like Columbus too. We used to fish in the Central Park. They ran us out, my cousins. We went up there. We was little hillbilly kids. We didn't know you couldn't fish in Central Park's pool. We didn't know that. It had fish in it. You know, we're catching fish. And they made us leave. What are you gonna do? Uh, let's see. SXS rides. Hey, you were a good minister. I married them. I used to do when I used to do trail tours. You know, take you on. You know, everybody pile up on side by sides, and we go from town to town to town. You know, hitting historic sites and things like that. And I got ordained so that I could, you know, marry you up on the side of a mountain somewhere. You know, legally. And yeah, it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. But yeah, that's what that was about, the good minister thing. Carol, hi y'all again from Salisbury, North Carolina. Hi Carol, how are you doing tonight? Hope you're having a good evening. Terry Lynch, weird question, but where do you guys want to be buried, and what will be on your stone? That's a really interesting one. I kind of like my family cemetery where my mom is, but Heather doesn't care for it because it's like really out there in the woods. So, you know, she's kind of, you know, and I get that. It's really out there. It's miles from anywhere. So, I don't know. I guess me personally, I guess once I'm gone, I don't know if I care or not, but I guess some people do, you know, some people, you know, their legacy, you know, and I get that, you know, I totally get that, you know. Hopefully someday Williamson will have like an 80-foot statue, but I kind of doubt it. Do they still have the Mate One shootout reenactments, Charlie 56? Yes, they do. Every year they have them. It's pretty cool. Uh, the gunfights and all that kind of stuff. It's pretty wild. Terry Lynch, you're kind of famous. Yeah. Thank you. Love your show. Also found Henry McCoy from VA. Hey, Kim. Hey, Leo. Says, hey, Leo. People will remember you. Maybe. Thank you, though. Sure miss you. You know where I'm at, Jeff. You know where I'm at. What you mean miss me? You know where I'm at. You know where the trails are. Come on down. Let's see. Judy Pierce. Yeah, Heather said, don't like it because it's on a hill. Yeah, it's on a steep hill where my family's at. Yeah, like most of them here. Judy, how are you? And Heather, really enjoyed all your videos, particularly the one on Red Jacket. We're doing good, Judy. Heather's feeling a little bit under the weather. Nothing real dramatic, but you know how it is. Yeah, the Red Jacket one was a lot of fun. You know, the crazy stories like that where the guy the place is named after never even set foot there. He never heard of Red Jacket, West Virginia. He lived up in New York. The guy that came down from New York and speculated on the area and named it, he knew about the Red Jacket guy from a story from his childhood. And you know I mean, the Red Jacket, the Native American that wore the red coat jacket, he'd never stepped foot here before. And the dude that named it, he just heard of the story from when he was little. So it's kind of wild, isn't it? How places can get names. Like the pie video not long ago, just because some dude was famous for liking pie. 150 years ago, whatever. The community is now called pie. How weird is that? I always thought that was kind of strange. You communities like have really weird names, Naugatuck and Lick Creek and things like that. And you always kind of wonder how that kind of stuff comes about. But every now and then, you run up on it, right? Every now and then you find out. Lori Smith. Hello to Heather and you from the little town in Western New York. Well, hello, Lori. Welcome to the channel. When are the reenactments, Leo? I think it's in the fall. I'm not sure about that. I'm not 100%. Which they have several things going on at Matawan. The homecoming is pretty cool. All of the Hatfield McCoy stuff. There's a lot of stuff, going on in Matawan. Magnolia Fair. I don't know if y'all remember like the old school fairs, how you used to have, in the 50s. The Magnolia Fair still goes up Matawan. And it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Of course, you have to keep in mind they're traveling amusement rides. If one gets a little bit too, I seen Red Jacket had a traffic jam this morning. 5 cars the whole day. That's about right. That's about right. It's a little community. It's very small. But I can remember going up there at Mitchell Branch when I was little. Mom's cousin. Her name was Tildy Coleman. She lived up in there, and I remember we'd go up in there and just kind of hang out. Judy and Denise talking. See, now that's what I was hoping right there. That's what I was hoping. You guys get to talking and stuff too. That's the whole point of the chat thing and what we had in mind. We go out and show all this kind of stuff and bring up all these old stories and things, and then you guys discussing them and hey, that's my grandmother, and it's really cool. You see stuff like that. It really is. It's really cool. Carol, have a book with all the weird town names and their history in North Carolina. Super interesting. It is, isn't it? It's just how places, just as something as simple as how places got their names. There's usually all kinds of wild stories behind that stuff. What was it, Gauley Bridge at Pikeville when we did that story over there? The guy came in with a project, we're going to build this bridge, right? It's during the Depression, they were trying to, CCC, all this, Civilian Conservation Corps. He comes in, I can build this bridge for this much money. No, we need it much more expensive. We need you to make it twice as expensive. We need you to make it more labor intensive. We need to get, and he goes back, comes back with this, okay, we're going to use cut stone, hand cut stone. It's going to be really heavy, really labor intensive. It's going to cost a fortune to do it this way. Okay, great, man. That's what we want, you know. And then, he's carved his initials on the back of the bridge. And, just through research, you find out that the builder of the bridge had carved his initials on the back side of the bridge. And then so, when you get over there and, you're telling this story about how this bridge is so pretty because they originally had designed it to be a basic bridge, but because the CCC wanted them to spend a buttload of money, now it's this great, big, magnificent bridge, and just little silly things like that. How did that happen? How did that come to be? It's really interesting to go find this stuff out. It really is. James Holbrook, Big Ugly is the best. Yeah, Big Ugly. Yeah, that's a very unique name, isn't it? Big Ugly. Yeah. Where do you live? Big Ugly. What'd you say to me? Yeah, Polka. Yeah, Denise. Kentucky has some wild names. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Norma Jane. How are you, Norma Jane? Good to see you tonight. She says, hello, Lee and Heather. Still have meeting you two and Jack on our bucket list. Right back at you, Norma Jane. Right back at you. Judy. I lived in Winston-Salem for 10 plus and somewhat familiar with some of the odd names. Love the Boone Bowling Rock area. Yeah, me too. Carol's been to Gauley Bridge several times with the ex-husband. Uh-oh. we didn't throw him off the bridge, did we? Be honest. You can tell me. We won't tell nobody. It really is a pretty bridge, though, isn't it? It really is. I mean, and the bouncy, when you're walking on it, it's like, you know how you're getting on these swinging bridges? I guess y'all have those pretty much everywhere. I mean, we've got them all over the place here, but I assume y'all do too. But, you'll get on those things and it's just, all the way across. And then you get off and you're on the solid ground on the other side. But you would swear up and down that you're still. I hate that. I hate that. We used to get on them and just get them swinging. We were kids. There was one over at Del Barton, and we just get on it. And, there were certain people that we knew were afraid of the bridge. And so, with kids, you know how it is. You just get on there and everybody just start jumping up and down on the bridge and just see if you could make them holler. Kids, what are you going to do? Judy Peer. Oh, okay. She's talking to Carol. The rock in the middle of the Gauley River with the bus on top of it. I always wondered how that was accomplished. I'm going to have to look into that. Huh. That sounds interesting. Hatfield Home Place and Museum. Hey, buddy. Y'all know who that is, right? Everybody knows who that is, I'm assuming. That is Devilance Hatfield's great-great-great-grandson that just now walked into the chat room and said, hey, buddy. So imagine that, right? How cool is that? Devilance's great-great-great-grandson just walked in and said hi. That's pretty cool, Anna. That is pretty cool. Good to see you, Jack. Good to see you, buddy. So this bus, Judy, that you're talking about, I'm going to have to look into this. A bus on top of a rock in a river that apparently sells food and refreshments. That sounds interesting. That sounds very interesting. uh, Jack Hatfield, YouTube buddy, the video and make one with you at the desk was funny. It was fun. Wait till you see the other ones. I did some more too. When we do the whole video, I did a bunch of, I got weird. I couldn't help it. I was there. I was all by myself. There's nobody else around. I've done watch TV. I've already done, my videos. I had another story to do. The red jacket, the red jacket story. I already done my red jacket story and got back and I don't know. I just decided to play with the camera a little bit, I guess. next thing you know, next thing you know, I'm sneaking down the hallway on video. What are you gonna do, man? What are you gonna do? That's life. One minute you're laughing at something. Next minute you're sneaking down a hallway in 100-year-old jail like a criminal. Life is weird. uh, Judy, I don't know if the bus is still there. I know it sounds weird. It sounds very interesting. It does. It sounds very interesting. Jack says now people are court ordered to watch your channel. Yeah, we'll be issuing fines too, just so everyone knows. We're checking. uh, John Halstead, love your stories. I learn a lot from your videos, Lee and Heather. Thank you for being you. Thank you, John. I very much appreciate that. Thank you. It's nice to hear stuff like that. It really is. We try to try to do the homework and try to do things right. And, and it's nice to hear stuff like that. It really is. It really is. Thank you. You Who More. Cool name. Love your videos. They're very highly entertaining. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. We try to have fun and, put a little bit of real history in it, but not be, I don't know, what's the right word? Not be too clinical, I suppose, just be you. And it just seems to work out, I guess. Where do you keep all of your camping toys? Teresa Harrison. Actually, this room right here I'm in right here is the spare bedroom. We had two of these. We moved into this house. We had two of these spare bedrooms. Heather fixed this. This is Heather's here. She fixed up a pretty bedroom. I fixed mine up as, mine. I asked Heather what she thought about mine. I showed her mine. She said it looked like a pawn shop threw up. And I very much enjoyed that comment. What are you going to do? I liked it. Yeah, the other bedroom, it's piled. I've got like a little path going through there, and I've got like solar panels and my tools, and it's wild. But I mean, I know where everything is. If I needed right now, I need a 1/2-inch drywall strip. I know exactly where to go get that 1/2-inch drywall strip. Back me up here, guys. The mechanical people, not necessarily guys, women too. Y'all back me up here, right? That junk drawer, the junk drawer, that's valuable stuff, ain't it? That is not junk. Back me up here. All right. Where was I? Quit being goofy. All right. All right. Where do you keep your toys? That's where we were at. Camping toys. Okay. No jail fines. No jail, just fines, because we aren't feeding a bunch of hooligans. Yeah, I did that in the video too in the jail cell. The lady there about is singing about doing time and hollering for the screws to bring me dinner. Who you got to kill around here to get some bacon and eggs in this jail? It was fun. What are you gonna do, man? I was bored. I was bored. I had to play. Uh, uh, yours and Jack's are the best. We share them, entertaining in history. Thank you, Uh, Jack Hatfield, I will let you in on something I've not mentioned yet. The new book, Devil's Brigade Complexities of the Hatfield McCoy Feud, is not available on the website or Amazon. Okay, anybody wants Jack's book, there you go, Jack's the Hatfield Home Place and Museum. Hi, Leo. I enjoy your videos and your voice is soothing. Thank you. It'll put somebody to sleep. Rockabye. I love exploring cemeteries. Thank you for the work you guys do and how much I've learned from you both. Thank you, Christy. I very much appreciate that. I appreciate that. It's a lot of fun, you get down to exploring them, and you, especially if you're doing like the research and things, and you, even if you're not doing the research, there's a lot of cool stones and beautiful weather and just all that kind of stuff. And Judy, scroll. No, where'd it go? Page jumped down. Oh, there it is. Judy, I chuckle every time I see you climb a mountain to find a cemetery or grave. But that is West Virginia, as everything is on a mountain. You must have strong legs, Leah. Fair. I'll be honest, Judy. I'm not going to lie. I ain't going to lie to you. I take a lot of breaks. I kind of meander as I go. Y'all know that the trick. Y'all know that I guess anybody lives in a state that has a lot of hills, a lot of mountains. I guess y'all know that the trick about falling uphill. I guess everybody knows that one, right? What you do is you lean forward till you're that far from falling on your face. Snatch your legs up and up underneath you, and then just push up with your legs, and you can fall up the hill. I showed it to Heather. It's a handy little trick. You're walking, climbing a lot, helps a lot. Falling uphill, imagine that. He does, Judy. I can't keep up with him when we're out exploring. Teresa, me and my husband enjoy all your videos. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Grizzly Grim. Place for everything and everything in its place. Yeah. Lori Smith. Hi to Jack. That's something you can't holler on an airplane, isn't it? Hi, Jack. Let's see. Really enjoyed meeting the people associated with the museum. It really is an interesting place to visit. It is, Jack. It's a very interesting place. It's a lot of history, a whole lot of history in one little bitty spot. Swanky, where'd it go? Page keeps scrolling. Every time I try to scroll, it jumps all the way to the bottom. Leo, after visiting the Hatfield Cemetery, I've been obsessed with the stories. Probably seen every one of your videos. Thank you very much. Thank you, Swanky. And happy Passover to you too. Sheila Magnus. Hi, Leo. I've always loved cemeteries. It's so nice to go along with you and discover history. I enjoy all your content and get lost in all the knowledge. Thank you for doing this. Thank you very much, Sheila. It's nice to hear stuff like that. It really is. It's really nice thing to say. Thank you. Where's Mr. Boney? Mr. Boney this time of year is in Aruba. He's been going to Aruba for about 6-7 seasons in a row, I think, since we bought him. Aruba is the shed, by the way, out behind the house. That's what we call the shed. He stays in Aruba until Halloween, and then he comes back out. Believe it or not, that thing is ballpark. I must have about 5,000 trail miles on that skeleton. When I was doing the tours and junk, I've rode him on the back of that ATV and in the seat side by side. That skeleton has got some serious trail miles. He really does. Real prison time is much like being married to the wrong person. I imagine. Rhonda, love your videos, man. Thank you, Rhonda. Appreciate that. Oh yeah, Judy, the train tunnel with the cemetery. Yeah, that one was pretty wild. That was really pretty though, wasn't it? Going through that tunnel and stuff, and just the tracks. It was a really pretty place. Uh, is Mr. Boney keeping Heather company? She's in the living room. Like I said, he's in Aruba out back. Uh, uh, what's that? Intermission. Hello, Leo and Heather and Jack. Enjoyed the video. Thank you. Thank you. Uh, Heather's been pushing for Mr. Boney to come out of retirement or out for the early season. We may have to break Mr. Boney out and take him on a camping trip or something. I don't know. I'll put him in all camo maybe, or I don't know. I did Easter Bunny and take him for a ride with me or something. How about that? Jake McVeigh, your research is top notch. Top notch. Have you taken historical methods course or self-taught? It's all self-taught. Um, Heather does 99.9% of the research. I research the sites and basically topographical research. Where it is. My thing is like logistics. Realistically speaking, you're looking for a little spot. 6 foot by 4 foot, 3 counties over. What would it take to get? What's it going to take to get me on the site and get video of this place? Whether it be, you're going to have to sit down on, if you've got like Google Earth and the truck has been through, you can sit down on Google Earth and literally walk down the road and actually look for various things. There's a whole lot of different ways. But Heather does most of the all of the genealogy research, and she handles the Find a Grave, the ancestry, my heritage, all that kind of stuff. Heather does all of that. Okay. Let's see. But hi, Heather. I want to see you climbing a mountain. I say to myself, it wouldn't be Leo unless he was climbing a mountain. I kind of feel that way too, Judy. I kind of feel that way too. I kind of like the ones where you have to climb the mountains. I'd have to shoot that climbing footage in several clips. Yeah, that's why they're in separate clips. uh, yeah, Dean Barr. Thank you, Dean. He says, love your videos. Thank you. Christy Pleat, are locals open to people visiting the area of the feud? I would love to get down there and see firsthand and hit up Jack's museum. Absolutely. Absolutely. The place it's basically set up, for that kind of stuff these days. All of the sites are easily accessible. Most. I mean, there's, some of the obscure stuff, that we've done on the channel's a little bit different, but generally speaking, most of the mainstream, if not all of the mainstream historic sites are easy to find, and there's usually at least some signage, there, and that sort of thing. But yeah, come on down whenever you get ready. Come on down. You'll love it. It's a little paradise. It's a great little place. Everybody's all about playtime. Can't beat that. Aunt Scary Sherry, love the laugh, Leo. So beautiful, just like you. Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. I ain't been called beautiful before, I don't think. Oh, the laugh was beautiful. Okay, that's better. That's a little bit more better. We want Mr. Boney. I'll have to bring him out. All right, where we go? I'm falling behind here. Hey, Kevin. Sorry I'm late to the party. I was taking a sick boy to the doctor. Dean has a sinus infection. I'm sorry to hear that, Kevin. Tell Dean I said hi and give him a big hug for me. I love Mr. Boney. I do too. My wife and I found your channel 3 weeks ago and we love it. Love the history. Tim Walters. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Take him to hunt Bigfoot. That's not a bad idea. Take Mr. Boney Bigfoot hunting. That's not bad. Can I still dress him up as the Easter Bunny, though? uh, hmm. How's that handheld air compressor working out for you? I absolutely love that thing. I even mentioned it in the video. Within a week of owning that thing, it saved my butt like 7 times. Yeah, yeah. I didn't even know. Yeah, long story, but yeah, the thing's paid for. It's awesome. Love it. Uh, Judy, all I can say is I love your videos. Heather does an excellent job researching. Robbie Johnson, Leah, I live in Pineville now. Moved here from Maryland. Heard Heather lived in Maryland. Where in Maryland? Heather, you want to field that one? Kevin, we would love to see the Easter Boney. Oh my God, that's a great name, Easter Boney. That is brilliant. That is sheer genius, the Easter Boney. That's good, man. I like it, Kevin. The Easter Boney. That's the name of the video. You just named the video. Angela Carroll, I love your videos. Keep doing what you're doing. Enjoy learning history, and y'all keeping memories alive. I feel you. I feel you. I enjoy learning a lot of this stuff too. It's very interesting. Dean, as a fellow West Virginian myself, I love all your videos, especially the cemeteries. It jumped again. Are you allowed to fly the drone anywhere you want to? No, 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 no. They have the government basically has places where you have open access and areas where there is restricted access. A lot of times, anything sometimes government related jails, a prison. Anytime there's an airport nearby, of course, I always make a point to never, if I'm near anything even remotely, I don't even attempt to, I don't even break the drone out unless I know I'm good to go. Put some bunny ears on Mr. Boney. Oh, definitely. I would. Lori, I don't have a car to get down there and see you in Jack's Museum. I watch all your videos. So please don't send me any jail fines. I agree. Jail is really like being married to the very wrong person. I promise, Lori, I will give you an exemption. You will not get a ticket, okay? I will give you an exemption right now. Robbie Johnson, my brother, is the mayor in Pineville. Okay, Heather. Wow, I really am behind. Heather answered him like a couple minutes ago. Charlie, appreciate all the research Heather does and all the hill climbing you do, Leo. No, thank you, Charlie. We enjoy it. We do. We enjoy it. Living in Lewis County, Kentucky, I understand climbing all the hills. Lori Swim, yeah, they're pretty much everywhere, aren't they? My roots come out of Carter County. Somebody said Sandra says she's been missing Mr. Boney. Okay, guys, you win. You win. Mr. Boney will be in a upcoming video soon, and we'll see if we can't do the Easter Boney thing, just for fun. Dean says hello and he loves your video. Tell Dean I said hello and I love him too. Heather said the Easter Boney sounds like a porn. You've got a point, Heather. The Easter Boney. I didn't even think about that. It does kind of sound like porn. The Easter Boney. Okay, we'll maybe come up with a different name. We'll work on that. We'll work on it. That's funny. Right. So no go on federal land. It varies. If it's typically speaking, The DJI drones, they have it. There's an app that you can use that will tell you whether you can fly wherever you're at. Um, DJI drones, it has it built in. For a while there, they wouldn't launch. If you were somewhere where you're not allowed to fly, it wouldn't lift off at all. But nowadays they changed it. If you're in a place with restricted airspace, the drone will lift off, but it will warn you ahead of time, hey, this is restricted airspace. If you launch anyway, it's on you. So that's basically how that works. Okay. Where were we? Page scrolling, the text just keeps jumping. There we go. Make hats for sale. Hi, Leo. Tim and Kathy Shree from Elkins here. We catch you every day. Love your program. Love it when Heather's in there too. Thank you, Kathy. Very much appreciate you. I like it when Heather's in them too. I think it's fun. Jamie T, what's up, Leo? Glad I could catch you live. Hope all is well with you and Heather. Yeah, Jamie, thank you. We're doing pretty good. Thank you for saying that. And Kevin, the Easter Boney, the Southern West Virginia. Mr. Boney does Dallas. Is that what we're thinking? The Easter Bunny. Easter Boney does Southern West Virginia. For real. Easter promotes theft. Everybody knows rabbits don't lay eggs, so he must be stealing them. Me in the 5th grade. I always wondered about it. Well, it's not necessarily Easter Bunny, but rabbits in general. You've heard rabbit's foot, lucky rabbit's foot. You've all heard that, right? Rabbit's feet, the lucky rabbit's foot on your keychain. I know people that have. I've seen them on people's keychains. Think about it. Think about this for 1 second, though. That rabbit had 4 of them, and look what happened to him. See my point? Rabbit's feet, not good luck. All right, I'm sorry. I'll quit. Yeah, I know, right? How lucky can they be? Oh, dang it. The Moundsville prison has been closed for many years. I think it is, but I think they do tours now. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they still you can go up there and do tours and stuff and get in. Doug Kitts, can you fish either side of the river with either state license, or do they sell a special one? Excuse me, sorry. They changed that this past fall. Last year, the time and before that, you could sit if you had West Virginia or Kentucky, you could sit on either side of the river and fish. But they changed it because one of the states, I think it might have been Kentucky, I'm not sure. Might have been West Virginia. One of them let something expire, so now you have to have the license for the state that you're sitting on. If you're sitting on the Kentucky side and cast all the way over on the West Virginia side, you still need a Kentucky license. So, yeah. I usually get both. I had been getting, Class X, for years, but the last few years I never got to go hunting, and I just didn't, I got my fishing license, but I didn't bother with getting hunting or anything like that. Let's see. Yeah, used to have one. Poor rabbits. Never thought like that. I know. It's poor rabbits. Yeah, more 4-leaf clovers are actually bad luck too. Barbara Mill. Hi, Leo and Heather. I love listening to you two while I crochet. Heather has a soothing voice. Barbara, my mom, you mentioned, crochet. My mom used to crochet like crazy. hours and hours, day after day after day for years. I've still got all of her stuff in little Ziploc baggies in the bedroom closet and a tote. And you mentioned crochet. I was actually thinking about that today, maybe bringing that up, but it's not, you know what I mean? People have different things, but, you know, I was just thinking, earlier, like about people doing what they love, you know, and how I love to be out there and, adventuring and looking for stuff and climbing mountains and all this kind of stuff. And she loved to crochet. That was just her thing. She loved it. But, she had these like a tea set. I actually thought about showing it. I know it's kind of weird, but it's still a hillbilly thing, so it counts. But she had this whole tea set that she crocheted from really thin string thread. And I mean, it's a tea set. And she's got 2 cups, 2 saucers, bowls, just the whole thing, little place, whole thing. And it's all hand crocheted string. And if you were walking by it, you would just see this thing and you would think that it's just a little tea set sitting there. But then you do that second take, oh my God, that's made of string. And it's all just, the way she's got it all laced together, it's just gravity just holds the thing out, and it's like in shape and it looks like a little tea set until it dawns on you, oh my God, that's made of string. And you turn back around and look at it. And, I'll dig it out one of these times. I will dig some of that stuff out. It's wild the way she did it now. She was really good at it. She was really good. She could crochet some stuff. She's made all kinds of stuff. Gloves, I mean, you name it. She did it for years. I can do a chain stitch. I can take 60 foot of string and turn it into 4 foot of rope. But quite frankly, it takes about 2 hours and it's a whole lot easier to just bring 4 foot of rope. Mom could do all kinds of stuff though. Sandra said her mom crocheted too. Dean Barr, I gotta go. Been good chatting. Thank you, Dean. Have a good evening. Thank you for coming. Let's see. Yeah. Quit. Most good spots are hard to get to. Some difficult paths and others cross private land. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you got to watch out for that kind of stuff. My mom crocheted. Kevin, we would love to see your mother's crochet. I'll break some of it out one of these days. I will. I'll break some of it out. She's got some really wild looking stuff now. She really did. I've always said that about a lucky rabbit foot on the 4th grade field trip to Conleysville Farm. I was the only one never brought one. Never bought one, excuse me. Yeah, Renata said, oh God, I know Ma used to crochet and read books a lot. She did. Mom used to like to read when I was little. We would read a lot. I'd go to the bookstore every week and comics. Of course this was back in the time, you know what I mean. And I would always go down and get the comic books and Mom would have me pick up, the true love's true this and and all that and love's promise and and whatever. just throw 3 or 4 of them on the shelf with the comic books. Sure, let's check out. Let's go. But yeah, she really liked that kind of stuff. Let's see. It really is, Barbara. Thank you. It's just I love to see your mom's work. I bet it is beautiful. It really is. It's surprisingly pretty. It really is. It takes a lot of talent to work with fine thread. It really does. It takes a lot of time. She made like a tablecloth, not for a coffee table, not a full size table. It's a coffee table, and really fine, delicate stuff. I remember she worked on that thing on and off for like, I'm thinking it was like 6 months or something like that before she finally got it done. But it was really pretty. I'll dig some of that stuff out one of these days. I certainly will. Tim, I love getting out the woods hunting, but I haven't had to give it up. Been fighting stage 3 colon cancer. I'm sorry to hear that, Tim. I'm really sorry to hear that, man. I know how that kind of stuff goes. I'm very, very familiar with cancer, unfortunately. Mom did Christmas ornaments, angels, bells, and snowflakes. I loved it. Sounds pretty. Thread is too small for me. Well, yeah, that's how mom, she used little bitty needles. She had big ones for like heavy yarn, like coats and afghans and junk. And these little teeny like sewing needles that she would, yeah, she taught herself to read with the Bible. She did. Mom taught herself to read with the Bible. Imagine that. Uh, is private owned land, is it mostly posted no trespassing? I'm assuming you mean like for trail riding? Uh, Aunt Scary Sherry, I'm assuming that's what you mean. Private land when you're trail riding? I'm assuming that's what you mean. Typically speaking, anybody that doesn't want someone crossing their property on the trails will have, they'll post it or gate it or something like that. If you don't see something posted or gated, outlaw trails, typically that means that the owner doesn't mind. I mean, if you've got a trail on your land, you know that it's there, and you just gate it if you don't want anybody up there or whatever. Let's see. Yeah, Renata, she told me the stories of teaching herself to read. She did. She taught herself to read with the Bible. Barbara Mill, I grew up in Fayette County on the mountain above the Miners Memorial. Okay. Prayers for endurance, Jim. There you go. Us too, Jim. Janet Sarlo. Hey, Heather and Leo. I was wondering where you were going to fit a TV in a hammock. I knew you figured out a way to have it. Heather and Leo, keep up your fantastic work you do. Thank you, Janet. Thank you very much. Yeah, I had to have the TV in the hammock. I mean, it was a matter of principle at that point. Yeah, you got at that point. Oh, but we got it. I just saw the hammock. It was only like $30. I think 37. And yeah, I went up and it just seemed like the thing to do. Yeah, I'm gonna take TV too. But why not? I like that. When you're out camping, I mean, there's something about. Let me turn my heat down 1 second. I'll be right back. About to cook here, but there's just something about like when you're out camping. You forget about. How y'all know how the real world is. It's all worry about bills, worry about this, worry about financial problems, worry about relationships, worry about this, worry about that. Some reason when you get out there and you go camping, you get out in the woods and stuff, and all of that kind of stuff just melts away, and it just becomes about the moment. And I like that. I like that. You get back home, all the problems, all your worries will be there. You be stressing about how you're going to do this, how you're going to do that, and then you go camping overnight, and you come back and well, truck needs tires, but it's only $400. We'll make it work. Just something about it, just relaxing as a way of doing that. Uh, let's see. Kevin Will, what's up, Leo? Not a whole lot, Kevin. Just kind of hanging out. How you doing tonight? Sandra Smith. Mom was blind in one eye near the end. Uh, yeah, mom did too. She got Bell's palsy, and one of them like dropped really bad. Yeah. Good relationship with you. Yeah, there you go. Hi, Wanda Bell. How you doing? Good evening. I'm so excited to see y'all live. Thank you, Wanda. Glad to see you. Glad to see you could make it. Uh, mm, Lori Smith. My mom taught all three of us sisters to crochet. I learned to macrame well, and now do many other crafts as well. Just had a cancer operation in January. I hope your other subscriber gets well. Thank you, Lori. It's very nice of you to say that. Thank you. That is very nice of you to say. I'm not even macrame. I know a little bit, but I'm not enough. Don't really know much about it. Let's see. Tranquility, serenity. Yeah, that's nice. Let's see. I used to climb the hills like the billy goat, but I can't do that anymore. I know what you mean, John. Just a couple years ago, they were a whole lot easier. Just a couple years ago. Seems like every time one of these turns gray, it seems like that hill gets that much bigger. So yeah, I know what you mean, man. That's the point of it, though. I guess guys. That's you know, I try not to ever offer advice about junk because what do I know? But to me, it's just all about having fun. Try to enjoy your life and spend some time doing what you want to do. With the people you love, and that's pretty much the whole meaning of life, right there. Just try to enjoy it while you're here. You got all eternity to be dead. You got this one little sliver of time that you can play and roll and romp in the sun. Go romp and roll and go for the amazing saves and get the princess. And you know what I mean? Do it all if you can. Best therapy ever was sitting in the woods with a nice fire doing a little bit of fishing. I agree. I agree. It really is. It's nice. Fished a new river down here in Radford. We're planning to come down fairly soon down to New River. We went down once before and did several stories down that way, but we will be coming back very soon. As a matter of fact, Heather and I are going to gang up and come down, and we're bring the big tent, and we've got a place, in mind down that way, and just kind of set the tent up down there for a few days, week, whatever, and just kind of roam around doing stories in the area and some over in Virginia as well too. We've got some down that way too. Uh, Sandra, this is great. Love and sharing with our hillbilly files friends. Thank you. Thank you, Sandra. Wanda Bell, I love embroidery. I've like my mother's supplies. Cherish is the word. Yes, it is. It is, isn't it? You wouldn't. I can remember before mom passed away. I can remember actually thinking this. I actually thought this before mom passed away. I had picked up some little thing she'd crocheted. I don't even remember what it was now, just some little doily, whatever. I don't remember. I remember putting it up somewhere. I put it on a mantle or something. And I can remember thinking, one of these days, this silly little doily will be priceless. There won't be amount of money on this planet. It's wild, ain't it? You know, just some string she bought, but you wouldn't take a fortune for it, would you? Strange, isn't it? St. Albans Sanitarium. Heather's been there. She liked that place. Macrame is just a bunch of different types of knots. Huh. Interesting. Interesting. If you weren't a Boy Scout, you wouldn't know. Okay. Macrame, huh? I'm really good with untying knots. Heather says I'm a witch. Y'all know the thing about they say a witch can't go by untie a string if it has knots in it. They have to untie the string. But then, of course, the catch is that it only takes them a second or two to untie the string, and then they kill you anyway. But Heather says I'm a witch. She can give me the awful, little gold chains or anything. And just there you go. You ever heard of tatting? It's a very delicate stitching. No, I have not. I have not. Barbara Millie. Heather, I'd love to buy you a coffee if you ever get back down here. There you go, Heather. Free coffee. Yeah. Thank you, Barbara. Uh, oh, Leo, coffee for you too. Yes, free coffee for both of us, Heather. No mountains here, but I got to at least sit on the porch. My mom and dad, both Appalachians. I thought hillbilly meant mountain folk, but when I mentioned the word in passing, she got irritated. A lot of people back in the day, the term hillbilly meant a derogatory thing. So, there's a lot of people that don't like the word to this day. They'll just saying the word hillbilly, they find it offensive. But to me, I don't at all. I'm proud to be a hillbilly. And I've said that in my videos before. Calling me a hillbilly is like calling Batman Batman. He's not going to be offended by that. He's going to, yeah, cool, thank you, man, appreciate that. Yeah, I'm Batman. uh, let's see. Sending prayers for everyone that's going through issues. Thank you, Elise. That's very nice. That is very nice. Mom said we ain't never been hillbillies. That's a good one. It's fun though being a hillbilly. You can do all kinds of weird stuff and nobody ever even questions you. It's just Leo. He's a hillbilly. Nobody questions it. You can do anything you want, just about. As long as it ain't legal. As long as it ain't illegal. Nobody bothers you. It's just Leo. It's just hillbillies. They do that. uh, I wasn't a Boy Scout. I can undo knots too. Let's see. Annabelle Taylor, link to the video about the Hatfield boys killed near Hardwood. Trying to view again, can't find it. Do you mean the McCoy boys killed at the pawpaw tree site, perhaps? Uh, Sandra Smith, we're proud of it now. Times change, generations. That's true, Sandra. It is wild, isn't it? The way times, change things. It's not just the places, that you go that it changes. Buildings change and all this kind of stuff. Roads change and people do too. It's wild, isn't it? The human race changes all the time. It's wild, isn't it? Mm. Aunt Scary Sherry, I'm a ridge running stump jumper and proud of it. I like that. I like that. Yeah, me too. Me too. Wear it like a badge of honor. Harwood, that doesn't ring a bell offhand, Heather said. Okay. Rhonda and Billy. Oh, yeah, Renata says she's a hillbilly. Yeah, honey, you really are. You're a hillbilly too. You think that's what it is, Heather? The Elias and Troy video could be. Wish you could have grown up there. I love when we visited. I'll be honest, it was really wild growing up here, as a kid. We kind of, my cousins and I, we pretty much lived on the river banks or up on a mountainside somewhere doing something. We were just, yeah, all over the place. Which I guess pretty much everybody is like that too. Well, I don't know. I guess it's just you get used to the mountains. We lived out in Ohio, and don't get me wrong, I liked Ohio. All kinds of lakes and all kinds of places to go fishing, and jobs. The place we were at in Wilmington, Ohio, they had so many factories. I think they started out at like what was it, 14, 15 an hour at McDonald's back at and that's 20 years ago. And so it was a really good place, economy, all that kind of stuff. Like everything about it, except it was flat. That was the only thing I didn't like about it. I'm used to my mountains. It's just I don't know something about it. Something about the mountains. It's like I guess it's sort of a sense of security, but I suppose it's a false sense of security, really. Come to think of it, it's probably a false sense of security, but I don't know. It's just pretty, I guess. And I mentioned in a video not long ago, we were talking about something that you'd be 6 miles apart, and you're on their porch and they're on their porch, and you're like, "Hello," because you can see each other. You know, and you can't do that here. You can't if your neighbor's more than 30 feet away, you're probably not going to see him ever. You know, but yeah, it's pretty cool living here. And if you like the outdoors, Southern West Virginia is a little paradise. It really is, and where you can the uh, get the Hatfield McCoy permits, and you can ride, ATVs, dirt bikes, side by sides, just whatever you got, and you can ride in all the towns. And I wish I could license my car for $50 a year. I mean that's a lot of fun. You get out and ride side by sides and just go all over the place. So yeah, it's a cool place. It really is. It really is. And we don't have a lot of stuff that you would probably find in other places. A lot of the I don't know a lot of the stuff you would find in cities. You don't find that stuff here. It's a totally different way of life. Completely different way of life. Mm, miss the smell of the creek banks, but not the smell of the drinking water. You probably had some place where you had sulfur water. Up Red Jacket. If any of you may be from up Red Jacket at Mitchell Branch Holler, where I was just doing a Red Jacket video, Tildy Coleman lived up there, and she had that sulfur water, and it was like that rotten eggs. It smelled like really rotten eggs. Not good. She used to buy her own water. I remember she wouldn't drink it. She used it for laundry, but she wouldn't drink it. Uh, Somebody said, "Oh, hey, Jack." Hi, Jack. And everybody like, air marshals. I don't miss the outhouse for sure. Sure do appreciate indoor plumbing. Yes, I kind of the indoor plumbing thing is pretty cool these days. That we've got that now. I remember one time. Let me think. What's the name of it? Peter Fork Mountain. You go across Peter Fork Mountain and you come out over by Freeburn, Kentucky. I was coming back across that mountain one time, and since you mentioned, outhouses and stuff, there was some dude as I was coming down the mountain. All of a sudden, we go by this outhouse. There's like 8 of us in a van. We go by this outhouse. All of a sudden, the door just swings wide open, and this dude jumps out and pants to his ankles. You know what I mean? Apparently, there was a wasp nest inside this outhouse, and they ran him out at a very inopportune moment. We'll just put it that way. But yeah, so yeah, that's one of the good things there about outhouses. If you run into an outhouse and it's warm weather out, you can just about be assured that there's a nest of bees somewhere in there. They love outhouses. They just love them. Let's see. Kevin said Ohio hills are like a pitcher's mound compared to West Virginia. Okay, there's the outhouse comment. All right. Annabelle lived in Florida and missed the mountains I grew up in, so I came back as close to West Virginia as I could in Virginia. That'll work. Van Fields, always love listening. Well, thank you, Van. Very much appreciate that. Uh, Jack didn't realize you were in here. Yeah, he's in here somewhere, ain't you, Jack? uh, Kevin, I can't endorse Southern West Virginia enough. Visiting there is one of my best decisions ever. Well worth the trip. Thank you, Kevin. We try to have fun. uh, Heather said she was born in Key West, just in case anybody didn't know that. She said, I don't want to be anywhere else but mountains now. But just in case anybody didn't know that, Heather was born in Key West. She's an adopted hillbilly, though. We're going to keep her. We're going to keep her. Let's see. Jump right in, Jack, man. Have fun. My grandparents didn't have indoor plumbing until sometime in the 1970s. I know people that had outdoor plumbing when I was young, probably about 10. I knew several people that still had outdoor plumbing. Little girl I used to date when I, little kid, you know how it is. Uh, they had an outhouse. I can remember, I really liked the little girl, but I didn't like going to her house. You come down here. We have a toilet. Come on down. Let's see. Central Plains wide open skies has beauty too, but those mountains just call to my soul. I feel you. I feel you. I like the open country. I think it's pretty. The big sky. All that kind of stuff. I think it's pretty. I'd like to go see. I want to see like different, not necessarily different areas. I'd like to see like different ecosystems. Like the desert. Kind of give me $40, a Dollar General store, 30 minutes to shop, and then dump me off in the desert somewhere. That's what I would like to try. I know it sounds crazy. I know it sounds weird, but that's what I want. I just wanted somebody to turn me loose in the desert with just enough stuff to get me started. And then we'll go do it in the swamp. And then we'll go to Alaska and we'll do it there. And then we'll go to Aruba. And then we'll try some jungle stuff. And then we'll do it all again. We'll start from the beginning. Now that sounds like fun. Let's see. I get sidetracked too easy, don't I? I'm talking about one thing. Squirrel! Okay, where we at? The page keeps jumping on me. There we go. I'm going to go that way. Some fall. It's kind of dog-friendly place up through there. The Smokies. Yeah, Daniel Boone Park. Yeah, no kidding. Hey, Leo. Why you let it get so cold today? It is not my fault, man. I put in an order for 80 degrees today. It is not my fault. I blame the government. They are beautiful, but to live in, I love my mountains. Yeah, I know what you mean. We had a fancy outhouse that had 3 holes. That's a good one. Like a 3-hole outhouse, a 3, like, hand me the toilet paper. I'm assuming there was some walls. Yeah, hand me toilet paper over, would you? A 3-hole outhouse. That's a good one. Let's see. Rhonda Doubleday. As a child, I asked my grandmother, "Can I have a drink of water?" And she had a big smile face, and gave me a drink and said, "Did you get this water out of the toilet? Does it smell bad? It smells sulfur water." Okay, I get you. Wanda Bell. I'm from Lower Alabama in Coffee County. There is a community of Perry Store. Is that a county? There's a graveyard, Harrison Graveyard. Plays a fiddle on his grave. My mom and dad got married and ran away to Florida, LOL, but didn't work. Both my grandmas moved in with them the minute I was born, LOL. They moved out to the Central Plains. Oh, Lord, we're about out of coffee. Critical problems here. System failure. Let's see. Very welcome. My dad was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. He was not happy going to the outhouse in Leyland when he first met my mom. I can't even imagine An outhouse in Brooklyn? I mean, down here, I mean, it's cold here in the wintertime, but I mean, in Brooklyn, going out to an outhouse, I don't know about that. I don't know. That's yeah. I mean, there's never mind. I started to go. Heather knows where I started to go. There's tricks to using the bathroom in the woods. Every time I bring it up, Heather deletes it. We're live now, though, ain't we? Okay, Heather, I won't do it. I'll be good. I'll be good. I promise. Renata, my niece, said, "Oh my God, I'm glad I had a regular bathroom when I grow up." Yeah, it's bad, Renata. The yellow jackets, the wasps, the smell, they're not, yeah, outhouses are not your friend. They really ain't. Uh, Norma Jean, we would love to be adopted hillbillies. Well, you already are. Come on up. Uh, Kevin, Leo, you have a patent on having fun. I don't know. I try to goof off a lot. I try to, you're going to be here anyway. You may as well try to have fun with it, right? Uh, Page keeps scrolling on me. We're going to have to deal with that. Wow. Apparently, I'm reading slow, talking too much. Uh, Big fat snake curled up in the outhouse. Yeah, I've heard of people running into that. I have heard of people, running into a giant copperhead or rattlesnake or something like that in the outhouse, not just bees. Yeah, that's actually very common. If you think about it, people they would put the outhouse, away from the house, because of the smell. Perfect snake habitat. You go to the bathroom and you got snakes and bees and everything else in there trying to get you. You're trying to use the bathroom, and the whole planet's trying to get you. You know, it's weird, man. Kevin, you doing good. Glad to meet you. Yeah, I'm glad. I'm glad y'all got to meet. I'm glad that Kevin and Jack we got to hook them up. Uh, Sandra, Key West, really? Yep, she's a Florida girl. She was. So she's a West Virginia girl now. What? The dolphin meat auction? I don't get it. Uh, I don't get it. Okay. Let's see. Kevin, thank you. It was a pleasure seeing you and Jack. Firsthand what it's like to use the outhouse in the wee hours, way up on the hillside, with plenty noises coming from the woods. I can imagine. I can imagine. Y'all imagine what that must have been like? It's freezing cold. In the wintertime, you're out trying to use the bathroom and you hear something outside. Yeah, that sounds. Yeah. Somebody say, uh, Janie, come out to Nevada. I'll put you up for a couple days. I'd love to. Heather went out. Heather and flew out to meet her sister and her brother, and they went out to Las Vegas a few years ago, and just went out driving. They went out through Arizona and all kinds of stuff. Yeah, the beautiful pictures. Like the painted desert, and all that kind of stuff. I'd love to go see something like that. That's really pretty. Let's see. For real, the family that poops together stays together. That's a good one. Yeah, I guess that makes sense too, don't it? Lori Smith, my grandpa Theo had an outhouse, and as kids, we were not allowed to use the indoor plumbing. And that thing finally caved in the early 1980s. Oh, Lord. Oh, my God. Could you imagine an outhouse collapsing with you in it? Oh, Lord. Wanderville, when I was little, they had an outhouse. It's it did it again. It keeps jumping. And we're back out here up on outhouses. Okay. Kenneth Dawson. I'm Kenny from Texas, longtime fan. Yeah, okay, okay, Heather's already seen that one. Thank you, Kenneth. Uh, Kevin said his parents added an indoor plumbing to their granny's house in the mid 80s. It took her years to get used to it. She would still use the outhouse as long as weather was nice until the day she died. I can see that. I guess you get used to certain things, you know. I suppose you would. Uh, um, Ohio still has outhouses, many nice homes. Ever never had plumbing installed down that way. Yeah, I know they have a lot of cisterns too. That I remember when we were up there, I seen you'd see a lot of cisterns. You know, the houses they would have water trucked in, and they'd fill up cisterns and stuff. Uh, Kenneth Dawson, my grandpa had an outhouse. I remember blue and green horseflies. Yeah, yeah, the outhouses tend to draw. Yeah, they're not good. They're not good. Heather's probably in there freaking out. God, I wish he'd stop talking about outhouses. Uh, yeah, rattlesnakes in the outhouse. That's like a nightmare scenario. He's still talking about outhouses, Heather. Does does a bear and Leo never mind what happens in the woods stays in the woods? That's a good one. I was raised in modern facilities, but when we visited my family, not so much. Copperheads were common. Please get more coffee. I will here in a second. I'll go get me a refill in a minute. Let's see. My aunt's house was right where the creek bed was, and I was afraid of water moccasins. Yeah, we don't really have too many water moccasins here. We're supposed to. That they say we're supposed to have them here, but as far as I know, I have never seen one. Uh, I see a lot of rattlesnakes up high altitudes. You see a lot of rattlesnakes, and down by the riverbanks where it's wet, you see a lot of copperheads. But as far as I know, I mean, you know, the white mouth, you know, black water moccasin, the white mouth, cottonmouth. As far as I know, I've never seen one here, but they're supposed to be here. Yeah, Sherry's. I was always afraid something was going to come up out of the hole in the outhouse. Could you imagine somebody? I mean, I know it'd be awful, but could you imagine somebody hiding down at the bottom of an outhouse? I mean, they're going to pay more than you are for this prank, but still. Oh my god! Could you imagine you jump right through the roof, wouldn't you? Dad didn't much care for the shed rattlesnake skins over the rafters. Yeah, I've seen a bunch of those. Sure have. Sure have. Gotta run, guys. Have a good evening. Jack, it's good to see you, man. Hope you have a good evening. Thank you for stopping by. Appreciate you. Let's see. Wanda Bell, you heading out, Wanda? Nice to see you. You have a good evening. Barbara McLean, love Key West. My youngest daughter got married on a beach there. That sounds nice, doesn't it? Married on a beach. Let's see. Thanks for the great chat. Leo, you did a fantastic keeping up with the chat. I'm kind of not quite used to it. It's still very new, you know, to be honest. I'm a little bit nervous about it. I ain't gonna lie. I'm used to being behind the camera and not right there. I'm used to being back behind this puppy dog. So, uh, let's see. Since you used it once, the Rhonda, they used a outhouse once. No, until they get back to their grandparents. Uh, just go behind the house. Yeah, yeah. That's what the heater, the bathrooms and campers. I took the bathroom out of my camper. No, no, not. Don't want to deal with that. Don't want to deal with that. Heather's in there. Oh my God, he's still talking about poop. Okay, I'll quit, Heather. Florida, hot, humid, flat, but my WV loved it. Yeah. I kind of like Florida. I think it's really pretty. It really is. It's very pretty. One snake is too many. Yeah. It depends. I've kind of got to the point, normal, where I don't know. I guess I'm just used to seeing snakes and junk so much, copperheads and rattlesnakes and junk and bears and bobcats and coyotes right outside your tent door. And, I guess I'm just used to seeing them so much. I don't really pay that much attention to them anymore. If I see, say, like a copperhead or rattlesnake around the tent, real close or something, I will generally take a stick and kind of, you know, escort him away, that kind of thing. Uh, I think it's illegal to kill rattlesnakes, but either way, I'd rather just kind of shoo them off anyhow, given the choice. The only way I have been pinned by one. I got pinned by a copper or a rattlesnake. It's been a while back, but yeah, there was no other, didn't really have an option. You get pinned, you're pinned. It's either him or you. You're going to get bit any second. So, yeah, we did do that once. Let's see. Rhonda, tell Heather once you use that outhouse, you will never forget it. I'm sure. I'm sure. Let's see. Sandra, gotta go. Y'all enjoyed. Love you. Good night, Sandra. Thank you for coming. Uh, lived out there in Orlando for 23 years and never got used to it. I've been down through that way a few times. The only thing I thought, well, Miami, not necessarily Orlando. The thing about Miami that stood out to me, I went through there a few times, was like that you don't see here. It was just totally alien to me anyway. Was, like every house that you go by has bars on the windows, and every bridge that you drove by has all kinds of refrigerator boxes and washing machine boxes and stuff like that, and people living in them under every bridge and awning and doorway. And that was just kind of new to me. It was a little culture shock, I guess you could say. I'm used to, you know what I mean. But I always did like Miami. I always did like Florida in general. I always thought it was very pretty. I just don't know if I would necessarily want to live there, where you would need bars on your window. Hello from Lenore. Hello, White Knight. Hello right back to you. Dad told us a story when he was West Virginia too. The outhouses in enemy territory would have someone down in there with a bayonet. I have actually heard that. I've heard that from somewhere, but I just don't know. I mean, could you imagine, somebody, your superior officer, your Civil War, okay, Revolutionary War, whatever, take your pick. Your superior officer looks at you and says, Kenneth Dawson, Mr. Dawson, I'll order you to get down in the bottom of this outhouse here, and you're going to stay there all day, and we're going to leave, and you're going to wait for somebody to come in here and use the bathroom in this outhouse, and then you're going to stab them with a bayonet. I'm deserting, okay? I'm joining them. I just want you to know that. I'm joining them. You messed up. You shouldn't have done that. I'm leaving. I'm joining the other side now. Let's see. Jeff in Maine. Jeff and Connie from Indiana. She's from Madison. Oh, Boone County. Yeah, I know where you're talking about. Been planning to go up there and do some videos real soon. Lori. Good night. Good night, Lori. Thank you for coming. Leo, more coffee in the outhouse is calling. Yeah, I still need more coffee. I had a strong aunt who never scared of nothing. We were standing at the creek and she up and bent down and pick up that black snake by the tail. My God, no fear there. Some people are like that, especially, if like the snake. When we were little, we used to have all kinds of them. Uh, Tommy, I know y'all heard me mention Tommy on the channel, Melvin, uh, they're brothers. Their parents had this house up Merrimack. Had to think for a second. Merrimack, West Virginia. And there was an old well out behind it. And somebody had put a barrel down in there to keep, I guess, people from falling in it. And we got that thing. We started putting snakes down in that barrel. And, we'd throw them fish and frogs and, stuff like that and feed them. But yeah, we had a snake pit. We sure did when we was in fourth grade. I actually had in fourth grade a snake pit live filled with live snakes, garter snakes, black snakes, green snakes. I remember we had one copperhead because he actually, what was it? One of them. Yeah, there it is. A little teensy scar right there where he nicked me. And it left a little itty bitty scar. That's from when I was young, young. But yeah, it was we actually had pet snakes. As I had this little garter snake. Oh come on, Harriet, that's her name. Y'all remember Little House on the Prairie? You remember Harriet Olsen, all time hateful, grouchy Harriet Olsen? That was the snake was named after Harriet Olsen because it was just a little garter snake. It's about that big, and I carried it around in my pocket. But it was just hateful. It's just all the time. Every time you pick it up, it's just trying to kill you. And Little House on the Prairie was on. We were sitting there, and I think Tommy or Jane or somebody was holding that little snake, and it was just over there, just trying to kill him. We're all laughing about it, and that's how the snake got its name, Harriet. We don't even know if it was a girl. It may have been a boy. I don't know. But anyway. uh, let's see. Doug Kitts, love y'all's videos. Keep up the good work. My sister-in-law is a McCoy. So now we're going to come visit some of those sites. Watch out for them Hatfields. That's all I would say. Watch out for them Hatfields. Okay. The state doesn't provide alternatives to refrigerator boxes. Verlin, love the live chat. Hey, Verlin, how you doing, man? Good to see you. Good to see you. Hi, Renata. Tuning in from North Central Ohio. Brandon Morrison. Hi, good night. Good evening, Brandon. How you doing? How you doing? Good to see you. Hi, Leo. Any good fishing down there? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. There's a lot of good fishing down here. There, the Tug River. It's got some really good fishing in it. Uh, Laurel Lake, if you're, wintertime, crappie or something like that, wintertime, Laurel Lake. RD Bailey is like really ridiculously deep. I took a depth finder over to RD Bailey. I think it was one of the very first dams that the Corps ever built was in, what is it, McDowell County? I think it's McDowell County, RD Bailey Lake. But I mean, at the dam, if I remember right, it was like 200 feet deep at the dam. I mean, it's really deep, and there's some monster, unbelievable carp and catfish. Uh, if any of you familiar with R.D. Bailey Lake, over by Gilbert, you come out from where the old marina used to be, the old marina, and turn left, where everybody dives off the rock. Now, I'm sure all y'all over that way know exactly what I'm talking about. But you turn left, go down there about a quarter mile, and there's these huge cliffs on the left side. And you cruise in there and kill the power and coast, just kind of coast into that cliff. And there's carp down there 15 feet long, and they'll just be. It's when the moss is up, summertime. Dog days, late summer. They're vegetarians, and Well, thank you, Kevin. Thank you. And eating that old mossy. You get out there on a 16-foot boat, big as your boat. I mean, that's yeah. You can't catch them. You can't catch them. I don't know what in the world maybe some deep sea surf pole and a gaff and all this kind of stuff. But I don't think I'd want to mess with one. I don't think I'd want to mess with one. You get over here in the tug, there's some really nice catfish if they're biting. It's you never know till you get there. That's just the way they are, right? Catfish are stubborn. They don't care. Let's see. Annabelle Taylor came late, leaving early. Good evening to all. Good evening, Annabelle. Good to see you. Have a good evening. Mm. Uh, with more dams being built, would it help with the flooding there? I kind of doubt it, to be honest with you, because of the way the mountains are. They're just like steep mountains, and you'll have these long little hollers that'll follow the mountains. And so, when it rains, everything just runs straight down into the valley. And it might not be so bad here, but if you get a half a mile down the valley where it's, running down all the way, by the time you get half a mile down the road, down the holler, 8, 10 feet deep, you know, and just in front of your house, it's like that. But just the same holler down the road, several feet deep, so you never know. Let's see. Oh wow. Rhonda Doubleday. I heard a story about a young little boy was picking up fishing worms and putting them in his pocket for fishing, and it turned out they weren't worms; they were poisoned baby snakes, and they bit him. I can see that, like baby copperheads. Kevin can tell you he went on a tour once, and we ran up on a baby copperhead, and they are said to be the baby copperheads, and that big. It's not even as big as a pencil. Little thing, but it's supposedly the most dangerous animal east of the Rockies until you get out into mountain lion country. And I mean, like I said, it's not even as big as a pencil, but the baby copperheads. And like when an adult snake bites you, they inject what they think it's going to take. If you're a threat and they're not going to eat you like a human, they'll inject enough to run you off. If you happen to be a bunny rabbit or a mouse or something that they consider, you might be delicious, they will give you enough poison to kill you. If it's a baby copperhead, when they bite, they inject every scrap of venom that they have when they bite you. And there's a difference between the two venoms. One is one is a what is it? Necrotic, which means dead flesh, if I'm not mistaken. And the other one is necrotic, and it's neurological. That's what it is, and it attacks your nervous system as well. And like they said, a rattlesnake, because of the necrotic, causes rotting skin. Like if one bites you here, and you don't get the anti venom quickly, to get that treated, then that whole spot where that venom, it can actually deteriorate and rot. And later on, when they do a skin graft, you know, you'll actually have a dip right there where that hole, where that, like taking a piece of a puzzle out or something, and it's wild. But yeah, Kevin, you remember that, don't you? We were just riding along on the trails and just happened to look down and saw that little telltale yellow tip on the end of its tail, Yeah, okay, that's a baby copperhead right there. That's the most dangerous animal for 2,000 miles right there. That little bitty thing, that big. That's wild, isn't it? That is wild. Neurotoxin. That's it. That's it. Neurotoxin. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you for jumping in there. Speaking of jumping in, guys, I shall be right back. Desperate times require desperate measures. And as you can see, we're pretty desperate at this. Oh, sorry, we're pretty desperate at this point. So I'll be right back. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back. All right, refueled, ready to go. Better. Okay, where were we? Yeah, copperheads. That's right. Yeah, that was it. How fast they were. Kevin was all going to stand there and just let it crawl through his legs because it was Kevin. Stop it! It's a copperhead. He wasn't a bit afraid. They can't strike. They're they can strike about that far. Coral snake is real bad. Hmm. Is that a Florida coral snakes? What is that? That's red touch black. Isn't that them? Is that them? Or yeah, red touches black will kill you, Jack, or something to that effect. How does that go? Something like that. Hi, Wyatt Earp. Great name. uh, Wanda, I'm really well. Thank you. I'm glad to hear that, Wanda. I'm glad. I'm glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. Oh, that's much better. That is really good. Hi, Tiffany. Thank you. And Tiffany says, "Hi, Leo. I love your channel." Thank you, Tiffany. Or Tammy. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Tammy. I'm getting old. My fault. Tammy. Brandon, thank you. Thank you, Brandon. Appreciate that very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Mm. Ah, that is much better. Much better. Have you ever ridden at Windrock? I've heard of it. I've been by it, but I have never ridden there. From what I hear, it's pretty challenging. Windrock. Well, actually, I hear it's got a little bit of both, but from what I hear, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool place. Don't really, to be honest, where I'm at here, you've got you've got the Hatfield McCoy trails and a million miles of outlaw trails and stuff. And from here, I think you can cross. Well, I know you can cross 3 states. You can start out in West Virginia, do Kentucky, Virginia, and just keep right on going. I know you can do 3 states from right where I'm sitting. So yeah, uh, my husband and I ride 4-wheelers. I do too. I got my little ATV, and side by side. Leftovers from the tour days. You know how that is. But yeah, they're fun. I like to get out. I used to like to ride my bike, but I don't ride it as much as I used to. Don't ride as much as I'd like to. I'll put it that way. Uh, this is a great way to spend the day. Feels like family. It really does. It does, Sheila. It does. I agree with you. But I guess that's kind of there's an old code. Hillbillies. You know what I mean. Y'all know what I'm talking about. There's an old code that I've heard about. Around here that back in the day, if you were hillbilly, I'm hillbilly, right? You live down the road here. I don't need to know your name. I know who you are. There was an old code here back in the day in hillbilly country, you know, that you were basically more or less entitled, okay, more or less entitled to anything I possess, as long as I'm not using it, at the time or something. All you had to do was ask. And, I'm not legally bound or anything, obviously, but hillbilly protocol, back in the day, you were kind of expected to give to them. If someone needed that, if someone needed something, you weren't using it, you know what I'm saying? And if someone asked you for it, you were sort of expected to give it to them for free. The catch is, there's the catch. There's always a catch, right? The catch is the day that you need something from them and you ask them for this, whatever it may be, they are obligated to give it to you. And, that's the catch. And I've always kind of wondered, if maybe, that kind of stuff has something to do with the way hillbillies are these days. The hillbilly culture tends to be pretty cool. They're pretty laid back. They're typically, ready to throw back a beer with you or play pool with you or go trail ride and hit the whatever, whatever you want to do. They're famous for that. And, I think a lot of that, I think that's where a lot of that stuff, it comes from. There was sort of a code, that a lot of the older generation, kind of still sticks to, but I think it's pretty cool. I really do. I enjoy it. I really enjoy hillbilly culture. I think it's pretty cool. That's you do your thing, you go have fun. I'll be over here doing my thing. If you want to come over and have fun, we'll make some chicken. You know, So I kind of like that. I like that about the culture. You can pretty comfortably, walk up onto some stranger's door and knock on it and have some semblance of expectation that you won't be shot. There's a lot of them where, I've even mentioned on the video, like, well, this one, this is a Baptist minister. He's got a church bus out front. He's much more likely to offer me dinner than he is to open fire. You know what I'm saying? So, those I think a lot of it's the culture. I really do. Of course, now there's some of them too. These days, you know, we've kind of got a reputation too for some bad things, pill activity, things like that. But in general, I think the hillbilly culture is doing pretty well. It's pretty wild, pretty alive and well. Gina Havel, love y'all. Well, we love you too, Gina. uh, Tammy, if you guys ever want to come to Tennessee and ride, my husband and I could show you some great places. Sounds good. That sounds very interesting, Tammy. Thank you. Thank you for the offer. Uh, oh, Heather already replied. Sheila says, I'm now a hillbilly too. Glad to hear it. Welcome to the club. uh, Live in Knoxville, a smaller town closer to Brushy and Windrock. Okay. Yeah. Well, you all have a great weekend. Got to go. Rest. Keep up the good work. Tim, thank you for coming and get you some rest, man. And we appreciate you. We certainly do. We appreciate you. We appreciate all of you guys. We really do. We honestly couldn't do any of this stuff without you guys, behind us in our corner, that kind of stuff. Y'all know how the world is these days. I mean, gas alone, you know what I mean? But yeah, we couldn't do any of this stuff if it weren't for you guys. Y'all support all of it. So thank y'all. Y'all's over there. You guys over here thanking us for doing this stuff, and we're over here thanking y'all for, you know what I mean. So yeah, we're kind of looking at it from the other side. Thank y'all. Yeah, hillbillies and like folk are real. Will tell you the way it is. I think a lot of them, a lot of hillbillies are down to earth because a lot of us grew up really stinking poor. You know what I mean? I think a lot of us really did. I certainly did. I grew up pretty poor. And I would imagine a lot of other hillbillies did. And I think that maybe have something to do with it too, maybe. You're just not used to being that person. You know what I mean? Uh, the hillbilly code is still, it is, isn't it? It is. A lot of the hillbilly code is kind of seems like it's gone away. The younger generation don't kind of, I don't know, don't really adhere to that sort of thing too much, I don't guess. But a lot of the older generation still does, a lot of them still kind of feel that stuff. And, they'll give you something. My uncle Sonny and Renata, I'm sure she remembers Sonny. He never, I've, my entire life, he died when I was, well, he died about 25 years ago. But I never saw him one time in my entire life. I never saw him drive by a person in a broke down car one time. If he saw you broke down on the side of the road, he would stop and fix your car, put gas in your car, or take you to where you needed to be. I never once saw him bypass someone who was stranded on the side of the road. And, you see that nowadays, you see a car on the side of the road, ain't nobody stopping. That these people kill you these days, some anyway. But I can remember he was like that. He was always was like that. And he didn't care what it took. If he would get you going. He would make sure you were okay. He would. He was a cool dude. Yeah, it is. That is how it should be everywhere. It's kind of wild, isn't it? I don't know. You respect other people, people respect you, all this kind of stuff. But at the same time, you know that just in general, humans could be 1,000 times more than what they are. You know what I mean? But I guess we're okay for now, right? I guess we're okay as long as we don't kill ourselves. We'll probably figure it out eventually. As that comes with age too. I mentioned that once before in a video. You remember when you were a little kid, when you were 5 years old, you thought you knew everything, didn't you? You thought you knew everything you needed to know. You didn't maybe not know everything in the world, but you knew everything that you needed to know. When you got about 10 years old, you realized that 5 year old you wasn't as slick as 5 year old you thought. And when you get about 10 years old, you do it again. When you get about 20 years old, you do it again. And it'll happen again about every 5 or 10 years, your whole life. You'll realize just how dumb you really were. So I guess that just comes with age, don't it? Age comes wisdom, they say. But it just seems like about the time you get old enough to figure out how the world really works, to where you finally get a handle on it, and you're kind of okay. We got it. I got this under control now, and boom, you're dead. Seems like it takes you 60, 70 years to figure out how the world works. and then bam, it's time to leave. It's weird, isn't it? We should be living much longer. I've been hollering for years. We need robot bodies. That ought to help. It should help. That's my plan. Either that or just live forever. I've been doing it for like 57 years now. I got it down pat, but now I should be good. Okay, okay. Yeah, I agree. I agree, Sherry. Respect goes a long way. It does, doesn't it? It goes a long way. And that's how I get into all kinds of private property and places where, they probably wouldn't let a whole lot of people go. It's just a simple matter of showing respect. It has a lot to do with it. Uh, Hard to believe it's so hard. Yeah, it is. It is. But it's just the way some people are. You can, this channel right here, y'all know we always try to make it a positive thing, try to share some knowledge, show some places, try to be cool, be cool about it, right? You're going to still have haters. You're going to have them. That's just a fact of life. I've said before, you could save a busload of nuns at 12 o'clock and 4 o'clock every day for 50 years. There's still going to be somebody out there that just don't like your face. That's all there is to it. You just do the best you can and continue on, right? You do the best you can and keep going. It's life. Okay. Yeah, you grow up low income, you learn a lot of skills. That's true. You learn a whole lot about getting along with people that if you're probably really wealthy growing up, you might not quite learn some of those same skills, I would imagine. Okay. She- Sheila Magnus, all the talk about outhouses and coffee. I'll be right back. It's a good one. Uh, Renata's off. Okay. Talk to you later, Renata. Good night. Wanda Lear, is there any river tubing there? There is supposed to be. There's a Lowhead Dam here in Williamson that they're supposedly working on. They're supposed to be making a river trail that starts, way up the river. You float down from that point to this point, and that's so. Yeah, it's in the works. It is in the works there. Mhm. Uh, no, I'm 49 and just now figuring out. I know what you mean. I know what you mean, Jane. I totally get it. Yeah, you do. You take all kinds of stuff for things for granted when you're little, don't you? Family, and you have family, and you just assume that they'll always be there with you. Because it's family. They're always going to be there with you, but don't take them for granted. It's good advice. Uh, that's true. Jesus Christ couldn't please some people. That's true. That you got a very good point. You have that is a really good point. Yeah. I mean, yeah, if he couldn't please everybody, you and I ain't got a shot. Uh, Sherry said, "Not everybody liked me growing up. It's all good now." Resurrection tree. Uh, said, I just about missed this. My husband distracted me with wanting dinner. That's a good one. That's a good one. As the last round of flooding receded at the Hatfield McCoy, receded, all the Hatfield McCoy sites fare okay. Yes, on both accounts, the river is back down. There are still some places where businesses are shut down. The Appalachian Plaza just outside of Williamson, the pretty much the entire place, with the exception of Taco Bell and the gas station up at the end, got completely wiped out. So they're still yet just getting the buildings cleaned out, let alone, so they're still, most of the places are back open, businesses and homes are, back to normal things, but there are still some that are still, you know, but the sites are all okay. All the Hatfield McCoy sites are all good to go. Are you finding any mushrooms? Have not seen any this year, but to be honest with you, Eric, I don't really do a whole lot of wild mushrooms because my mom used to tell this story about when she was little, about the family going out in the woods gathering, picking mushrooms. And apparently they got false morels, thinking that they were real, regular morels, and got a hold. I'm assuming it was false morels. She didn't know that. She didn't say that. She didn't know. But apparently, the entire family almost died before I was born, and they had poisoned themselves with these mushrooms and thought they had, the edible variety when it was the poison variety. And mom said that, if I remember right, she said she laid unconscious for a week in the hospital, uh, before they got her, situated, lined back out. So to be honest, I don't really do, I don't really mess. Straighten up, Pat. You can see it in the camera. I can see it's crooked. I don't really mess with a whole lot of, mushrooms. But now poke and all that other stuff, absolutely, man, I'm all over that. Which poke is poison. They poke at the, what is it, the roots? Yeah, I'm assuming most of you know what poke plant is. And I'm sure I'll be picking some and showing it to you soon. But like, yeah, I'm sure y'all have eaten it, right? A lot of you. But the roots, the berries, and when late summer, how the plant gets that purple skin on the poke plant, that supposedly that skin is poisonous. But now I've eaten it. I've cooked it many times with the skin on it, and I'm still here. Maybe it's like apple seeds. You have to have, an astronomical amount of them. Apple seeds are poisonous, but you'd have to eat an astronomical amount of them for it to do anything. Mm. Okay. Let's see. How'd y'all get into this? Gina Hevel, how'd y'all get into this? I'm kind of a newcomer. Well, it's kind of weird. We used to do tours. I used to do trail tours, and we go from, start out, Williamson or whatever. We started out with 8 subs, but we used to go out and I'd take people from town to town, and do tours and tell them history and take them different places and, just go from through the mountains, not on roads, it's just side by sides and ATVs and, just kind of got into it. And next thing you know, we're making YouTube videos, and I guess the rest is kind of history. Here we are, right? Here we are, several years later, and still making videos and still having fun with it. So, uh, let's see. The green Barbara. I don't know that. Is that a plant? I'm not familiar with that one. Would like to do more foraging, but mushrooms and stuff, poison, scary. Yeah, it really is. Uh, we did one. Danny, y'all remember Danny? I'm sure some of you do. Some of you probably don't remember. A friend of mine, he's been on channel a few times, metal detecting with us, things like that. He had an app on his phone, and where were we? Miracle Mountain, the 100-year-old CCC cabin way back up on top of a mountain, just kind of camping out and stuff. But Danny had this app on his phone, and we were just kind of, plant ID app. We're walking around, looking at these plants and stuff. And Danny looks at me and says, "What do you think about that one right there? That's a round mushroom. And what do you think about that one right there?" I said, "I think if you eat it, it'll probably kill you." Those are my exact words. And he took his phone app out and he scanned the little mushroom. And as soon as he scanned it, it popped up on the screen. Great big red banner at the top. Great big red letters, all in capital. Do not touch. Extreme poison. Okay. It didn't say don't eat. It said don't touch. That's a big difference. You know, it said don't touch, not don't eat. Yeah. So you got to really be careful with that kind of stuff. They're extremely toxic. Extremely toxic. But I guess if you know what you're doing, if you know more about what you're doing with mushrooms than I would, I know a lot of stuff, little edibles, wild edibles, but mushrooms I've always considered off limits because of mom's tale. I heard the story of the mushrooms. My family wouldn't eat them. I don't blame you. I don't blame you. I mean, that looks like morels even. There's a false morel, which is hollow. It's obvious that you've got a false morel, or should be apparently, but I guess maybe not. If you don't know, you don't know. But they're supposed to be hollow, so it would, in theory, be pretty easy to spot them. Does sassafras grow in West Virginia? Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Uh, we saw some up. There's some up behind Jack Hatfield's house on the hillside, and you can smell it. You break it, you can smell it. Uh, Lauren, hello, Heather and Leo, and everybody here. Hi, Lauren. How you doing? Welcome to the channel. Oh, thank you, Jamie. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Gas money. Thank you for the gas money. Appreciate that. Thank you. It does come in handy. I kid you not. Uh, Danny has some mushroom videos. Yeah, yeah. Uh, Jennifer Riley. Hi, Leo. Hi, Jennifer. How are you doing tonight? Hope you're having a good night. Uh, Keep it up. I'm way into the Hatfield McCoy history, but I am too lazy to do my own research. You and Heather are a godsend. Keep it up. I'm way into Hatfield and McCoy history. Too lazy to do research. That's a good one, Gina. That's a good one. I like that. Uh, Andy, have you ever seen ginseng walking around the hills? Absolutely. Absolutely. My uncle, aunt and uncle, they used to pick it all the time when I was a kid. Well, dig it, not pick it, ginseng. They dig it. And us kids, we would go, and while they were hunting for ginseng, we would be out looking for bloodroot, yellow root. You know what mayapple is? I guess you probably know what mayapple is. It don't pay much. I think it was like 7 cents a pound or some ridiculous low amount. But the thing about it, three kids working together, you can get a whole lot of that stuff in no time. And back in the 70s, it's a little bit of money. You get three of you together, you could get some money. And they were off doing the big, the big roots, the big paying stuff, and we were just gathering everything else right behind them. We were just following them through the woods, gathering every scrap that they left. We'd snatch. So we just follow them through the woods. uh, More of Jack, by the way. He is funny, ain't he? Jack's funny as barrel monkeys, ain't he? What's up, John Brown? What's up from Indiana? Good to see you, John. Welcome to the channel. How you doing? I hope you have a pretty good night. Hope you're having a good night. Mm. Beverly Jackson. Leo, have you seen any headstones with the name Starnes? Heather's going to check. She said be back. Thank you. Heather's going to look. Let's see. Wow. Sherry says that ginseng is still at $1,000 an ounce. Is that what they're paying for it nowadays? $1,000 an ounce? Wow. That's really up there, isn't it? That is really up there. I mean, that's like more than moonshine, isn't it? Uh, Shane and Jamie's little homestead. I like the name of that. Hi from Northeast Oklahoma. Well, hello. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to the channel. I'd love to come out in Oklahoma and check your state out one of these days. I'd love that. Really would. How much time do y'all invest in each video? That's an interesting question right there. Uh, it varies. It varies, to be honest with you, Gina. There's several. If you have a whole bunch of stops, that'll add a lot to it. You know, if you have a lot of places where you have to go find stuff, you'll have. Typically, the way we do it is we'll have, I guess, more or less what you would consider discovery phase. You know, where we're just kind of hanging around, discussing, different projects and different stories and things like that. And then we'll kind of settle on one and go get started on it and the research and get all of the research done and all of the information and go out and do the actual video, then come back and give it to Heather. And then she edits it 1 to 3 days, depending on how big it is and how many stops. So yeah, it can get really, really complicated just to do one story. Some of them, if you've only got a few stops, you can do the videoing part in one day. But sometimes you may have, you know, a great big story. You have to do this part of it over here, and then the grave is 6 counties over that way. So the next time we're going up toward Huntington, whatever, we'll stop by there and do that part. So, it's very time consuming. It's very time consuming. And then Heather, like the graveyard videos. Have you, y'all, the one where she goes to the graveyards and all of the people, this person died of this and, the war hero, all that kind of stuff. That takes a lot of time too. So, by the time you get one from beginning to end, where it's actually posted, you're going to have quite a bit of time in each one. Jamie, doing a lot of work on a 158-year-old farmhouse. Redid our bathroom. I would love to have some sassafras fruit to make root beer. Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. Let's see. Okay. John Brown. Coach Brown. Man, that is really good. Is it just me or y'all, everybody? Is it just me or am I the only coffee fanatic in here? I mean, I know they say everybody drinks coffee, but I just kind of feel like most people probably don't drink as much coffee as I do. Let's see. The price of eggs. I honestly don't know. Heather, how much is a dozen eggs these days? That's a good question. I don't really know. Let's see. Appreciate all the effort. Learn way more here than in any history class. Well, thank you, Gina. Thank you. I've ran into kids, out doing stories and stuff. I've ran, well, a couple weeks ago, the train tunnel had the cemetery up on top of the train tunnel. I was getting ready to leave, and there was a man, a woman, and they were meeting a little boy and a little girl off of a school bus. And so I was just standing there talking to the mom and dad, about the graveyard being on the hill, the climb, you know what I mean, that kind of thing. Anyhow, the little boy and the little girl come up and they get off the bus. And, we're just standing there talking. The little boy walks up and he just standing there looking at me and say anything for a minute. He just standing there looking at me. We're talking. All of a sudden, he says, "Your name's Leo, ain't it?" Yeah. I mean, miles, miles away. He says, "Your name Leo, ain't it?" Yeah. And how you know my name Leo? He said, "We've seen your videos." I said, "Oh, really? You're the parents, you know what I mean? They're standing right there. Oh, y'all watch our videos?" He said, "No, we saw them at school. My teacher has shown a bunch of your videos, your historic videos in class." He said, "I've seen a whole bunch of your videos." So, I mean, that was pretty wild. And we've had several other people tell us that as well. That they've shown some of our historic videos in schools, in classrooms. So yeah, I thought that is really cool. That is really cool. That something that you did, there, somewhere out there right now, there's a little kid that saw our video about a Hatfield McCoy video, and 50 years from now he's going to remember that stuff. Long after I'm gone, he's still going to remember that stuff. And he saw that on one of our videos, and that's really cool. I like that. I like that you're really carrying something on. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that we found, like things, I used to mention all the time, about pages missing from the history books and stuff like that, and that's really cool. But there's something about, a kid telling you that they've seen your videos in school. That's a little bit bigger in my head anyway. It's a little bit bigger. But yeah. Okay. Where were we? I love coffee. Sometimes coffee is the only reason I get out of bed, Tammy. I feel you. I feel you. Coffee and heavy doses of sugar, that's what keeps me alive. uh, Janie, Heather's commentary on the graveyards and causes of death is phenomenal. Thank you, Janie, very much. Thank you very much. I agree with you. I agree. I'm impressed with her too. I think she's come a long way. She's probably not in there right now. Shut up about me. But yeah, I think she's come a long way in her investigation. I really do. She's getting really good. Uh, Jimmy, I don't think so. Judy or Jody, sorry. Have you come across any graves for Gemmil? Jamil, I'm assuming. Not that I know of. Not it doesn't strike any bells, right off the top of my head. Mm, a coffee fanatic for real. I like mine strong. I like my coffee strong, but I can only drink it so far. I can only take it so far. Too strong, it just wrecks my stomach the whole day. I have to drink so much and chill for about 20 minutes and then go back. Brandon, I've watched this channel for a while, but the camping videos have inspired me to get back in touch with the outdoors. That is really cool, Brandon. That is really cool, man. I agree with you, man. Like I said, there's something really cool about, just the wilderness, I guess. That whole enjoying yourself, and I know what you mean. I get it. I really do. Where'd that comment go? Come back here. There was one I was on the range out. It jumped. Hang on. Where'd it go? There was a good one. Hang on, hang on, hang on. Hang on. There we go. There we go. Sherry, caffeine and nicotine is the only way to go. uh, much better way to learn. It is, isn't it? It is. Well, it's me. You could read all this stuff, and all that, and the picture's worth 1,000 words. So you go out there, you actually go to the place. I agree. Picture's worth 1,000 words. You can do a lot more in video than you can sitting around talking, behind a desk or whatever. I drank a lot of coffee, but I think you got me beat. Probably. uh, let's see. Well, thank you, Kevin. It's an honor and a tribute to your and Heather's hard work and due diligence. Thank you very much. Making me all misty. uh, mm, Lauren, sorry, meant to address Gina with Jack Hatfield's book. Leo can tell you about it. I bought it and I do like it. He answers a lot of the questions at the end of the book. Yeah, it's Jack Hatfield at the Home Place Museum. He has his book for sale, and it's got a lot of very interesting stuff in it. It does. He's he tries. He tries. He's putting in some effort. Have you ever done a video at Jenny Wiley State Park? We've done a little bit up that way. Jenny Wiley, we did her story as well. But there's some more up there too that we plan to do. Yeah. Uh, Andy Hunter, presentations are exceptionally good. Thank you, Andy, very much. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. We do try. We do try. I can't always find them. Of course, that goes. I've struck out about a half a dozen times too over the years too. Go out and try to find something, and it happens. That's life, though, right? That's just the way life works. Rick Lane, hey Leo, I'd like to invite you guys to Ponderosa Speedway in Junction City, Kentucky. Sounds fun. Are we racing or are we watching other people race? uh, hang on. Page jump. Stop doing that. John Brown coffee and weed every morning. Let's see. I'm a firm believer that James Holbrook. I'm a firm believer that if you teach the history that is right in their backyard, it makes it more real for them. I agree. I agree because it's something you know about, a little bit. You know where it's at in theory, and hopefully, you know a little bit about it, and you know it's family. You may even know even more, but I think a lot of it has to do with being just trying not trying to be something you're not. Just be you. I think that shows through in a lot of videos. If you're trying to be something that you're not, I think it kind of comes through. I really do. Uh, did you eat sugar sandwiches? You hillbillies love your sugar sandwiches. No, but I can remember mustard sandwiches from when I was little. Does that count? Have been known to do a mustard sandwich when I was little. Heather said she did ketchup sandwiches, but I heard one of my puppy dogs at the door wanting in. Not munchy. Munchy. Hang on. Come on. You want to say hi? Okay. Come here. Come here. Come down. Come down. Come down. Now y'all bear with her. Munchie's pretty old and she's pretty sick. She actually has cancer. But yeah, it's a daddy girl. She's a daddy girl. Y'all know how that goes. Yeah. Okay. She's a daddy's girl. You know how that is. She's coughing. Is what it is. She coughs. And y'all know how that goes. You're just trying to put the last minute. You know what I mean. You don't want to jump the gun. We'll put it that way. But she's a daddy's girl. Yeah. Come on. Come on, daddy girl. Come on. Oh, come on, big dog. Oh. I'll be right back, guys. Let me take her back to mom. I see what it is now. I took Munchie back out there. I see what's going on now. Heather went to the bathroom. Munchie wasn't looking for daddy. Munchie's looking for mommy. That's what's going on. Okay. My family down there, last name Dollarhide and Knight. I've heard the name Dollarhide, but I've never met anyone a Dollarhide yet. I have heard the name. When is Heather going to tell another story? Trying to think. She's working on some right now. As a matter of fact, she usually will have anywhere from 3 to 5 basically in the pipe, at various stages. This one, still needs this clip, or that one needs this research, or whatever the case may be. But there's usually about 3 to 5 that we're working on at any one given time. Something along those lines. Mark from Uniontown, PA. I've been there. Sure have. Thank you, by the way. Thank you. I've been to Uniontown. All right. Page jumped again. Yeah, Kevin, it is. The Jenny Wiley is about a year old. Yeah. Wanda Bill, Heather, your work on the videos is awesome. Love the music. She's, like I said, she's getting really good. I think so. Jamie Lieberg, I'm drinking Kentucky whiskey and iced tea. Jamie's having a really good night. I'm having just plain old coffee. So I'm disappointed now. I was all happy about it a minute ago. I'm kind of disappointed now. Oh, Kevin, you got one? Yeah. I did not know that. You got one of the first ones then, huh? One of Jack's first books. Sorry, guys. Kevin said I was at the Hatfield home place the day the book went on sale. And Jack said that he was the first one to buy it. So Kevin McMahon got the first copy of Jack's book. That's pretty cool. Where we go? Oh, sorry, I'm drinking Kentucky bourbon on iced tea. Jamie modified that just a little bit. Norma Jean Helen, butter and radishes, best sandwiches. I have never heard of that. Butter and radishes. I've never heard of that. We used to raid rhubarb, rhubarb garden. If you got a rhubarb garden and I've got a salt shaker, your rhubarb's in real danger. I can just tell you that right now. If you have a rhubarb patch and I got a salt shaker, you best watch your rhubarb patch. Because, yeah, it's going to go missing real bad, real quick. Miracle Whip sandwiches. Ketchup. Survivor of the ketchup sandwich. The sweet baby Munchie. Bambi Munchie. Yeah, thank you, Norma Jane. Thank you. Said she's praying for Munchie. Thank you. Andy, I grew up on bases. Military bases? I bet that was a wild childhood. Growing up on a military base. I can only imagine. That's, something I can probably, this seems like it would be, I don't know if strict is the right word or not. It seems like there'd be a lot of people watching you on a military base. I just kind of, when I was little, just sort of disappeared. Let's see. Yeah. The Springer Spaniel. Yeah, they get old. You know how it is. That's the thing about dogs. They, you know, you have this long life and they only 15, 16, 17 years. So, when you get one, you're going to outlive it, and unless something goes horribly wrong. It's just one of those things, though. Do you have any work besides doing these videos? No, Gina. This is what we do. We do. We used to do the tours, like I said, but that's about. Well, actually, Heather used to be a dog groomer. I don't know if we've ever mentioned that. Heather used to be a dog groomer. So we've still yet got a few people that have troubled dogs. We'll say that can't be taken to a vet because the vet will sedate them or something. Because they'll be sedated, and old dogs you can't sedate them, stuff like that. So we have, what is it, Heather? Five? I think we have five little Hellcat dogs that we still groom, to this day, just to, because they're little wildcats. If they go to a vet, they're going to get sedated or treated badly. You know what I mean? So Andy May from Mate One, they've known us forever. The dog, Andy sees me coming, he'll, Laura May, friend of ours. Andy sees me coming, he'll jump right up, want me to pick him up, on his mommy's lap, but we just known him forever. You know how it is. New Martinsville. I've been there, sure have. Gina says the music and drone work is epic. Thank you, Gina. I crashed that puppy a couple times getting used to it. Yeah, I slammed that brand new drone after I made the first payment. I slammed it full speed right into the side of the tent. It bounced though. It seemed to be okay. I haven't hit anything in a while so far, so I'm doing pretty good so far. It's been a while since I've crashed. Hopefully, you know. Uh, mm, just got into conversation, but how about you two make a few videos on Buchanan County, Virginia? We are actually headed down that way. We sure are. We will be headed down that way very soon. John Brown, catch hillbillies on the next flop. Thank you, John. Thank you for coming. Jamie, thank you very much. I appreciate that. The 3 Siberian Huskies, wolf mix, males and 1 female, and 2 puma cats. Really? I heard that. I bet that's an interesting evening, isn't it? The cats and the dogs. I bet that's a wild evening. Sounds like fun though. I used to have a big boxer that would just love to wrestle with you in the floor, but you had to be really careful because if he got you down first, he would straight kick your butt, man. They don't call them boxers for nothing. They just start doing this stuff. If they get you down, if a boxer gets you down, they start doing this wailing on the back. You better get him first. That's your best bet. Get him first. He loved it. They don't care. They love to wrestle. They love it. uh, well, excuse me. Sorry. Sorry. Wow. Norma Jean said that her mom used to eat lard and fresh peas on sandwiches. I've never heard of that one. I miss lard. I miss lard. I know it's a horrible thing, and just the concept of lard sounds disgusting. Just to say the word kind of sounds gross. But man, it's the best cooking. You can cook anything in lard and it's delicious. I could cook this table right now in lard, and that table will be absolutely delicious. Unfortunately, it's not good for you. Seems like everything that's good isn't good for you, though, ain't it? It seems like that's the way that works. Uh, mm, Yes, Sherry, rhubarb is looks a lot like celery. It looks a lot like celery actually, as the central stalk, and that's what you go after is that central stalk. Yeah, yeah. James said that's the only way he'll eat it, raw with salt. That's me too. I love it. It's kind of an acquired taste, I would imagine. Rhubarb does have kind of a, I don't know if it's spicy or I'm not. No, it's not spicy. I'm not even sure what you'd call that taste at rhubarb, but I like it. A good mayo sandwich. Ron said, I like a good mayo sandwich. Toasted cucumbers. Now, I've done that. I have done the cucumber sandwiches. Heather makes those. Heather does cucumber sandwiches. Uh, Russ White, how's Hank? Hope he's doing good. We like staying there. Hank is doing really well. They took Chancey's camper and moved it up on the hill and put Hank up on the hill in Chancey's camper. So Hank lost his camper. And to be honest, Hank lost everything. He lost his clothes. He lost everything he had. But he did get a bigger camper. Chancey's giving him a bigger camper now. So, he will have a little bit more room, in the new one. And it's a better spot. I think they're kind of leery about him being up on the hill because, it's Hank, his age. But I think he's probably safer, up there. I really do. I think he's a lot safer. You know, he stays busy. Hank just he stays so busy working on that campground. Uh, Gina, how old were you when you learned your lineage? Uh, to be honest, Gina, I'd heard stories and junk ever since I was little. Just little stories and snippets and things like that. And I knew related, but didn't really know much about the details. And you know how it is when you're younger. You're more concerned about what your friends think than than who your great grandparents are. You care more about what your friends from third grade think. Weird, isn't it? Ironic, isn't it? But anyway, yeah, that's pretty much it. Like life all along. But then when we started getting into it, and Heather started doing a whole lot of the research and did the ancestry and all that kind of stuff. Deb Pachyderm just got here. How's the live going so far? I'm having fun. I hope y'all are. I hope everybody's having fun. I'm having a ball. I'll just be honest. I'm having a good time. I hope y'all are too. I really do. Uh, which I guess it can't be that bad. There wouldn't be 95 of you, huh? My cat Macy is bipolar. I think all cats are bipolar, aren't they? Isn't that like a requirement to being a cat? Doesn't that comes with the license or something? You're a cat, you're bipolar. I think that kind of goes with the deal. Wyatt Earp, I take care of 60 dogs. That's a lot of dogs. I'm guessing work. Uh, Kennel. I'll go with the kennel. I've always liked dogs, though. I never biting dogs, even vicious dogs. I've never, as Heather could tell you, I prance right through vicious dogs and be buddies with them 5 minutes later. I don't really know how it works, but there it is. Oh, dogs know good people. I trust people who our doggies approve of. What are the odds? And then just read that comment. What are the odds of that? Uh, uh, oh, drone. But now Captain Leo lands it softly on his Mustang. Hmm. Uh, oh, They take up my bed. The dogs, they take up my bed. They're there. They are indoor, not outdoor dogs. Yeah. Ours like to sleep with Heather. They like to pile up right beside of, mommy. You know how it is. Uh, excellent was here earlier. Are we keeping you away, Leo? Do you need to go mountain goating? I'm good for tonight, Deb. I'll wait till tomorrow. I'm good. Thank you for thinking of me, though. Rhonda, we only eat lard in our beans. I miss lard. I really do. It just seems like everything that you want, everything that's delicious will kill you. Kind of weird, isn't it? Gino replied, lard equals heaven. Cook, yes, but eat cold smeared on bread. I know. Bacon grease and potatoes, best ever. I'm a firm believer that you can take bacon grease and make anything wonderful. I really am. I'm a firm believer that I can, yeah, you name it. I don't care what it is. I can take bacon grease, make it delicious. Piece of cake. Mm, okay. How far are you from Newville, West Virginia? A lot of my family's buried in that cemetery. My father's side has been in that general area since the Revolutionary War. Brandon Morrison. Newville. Mm. You don't accidentally mean Newtown, perhaps, do you? Um, Newville. Trying to think of a Newville. It doesn't ring any bells. It doesn't ring any bells. We have a new town, right? Just half an hour, something like that. That's really annoying the way that scroll just jumps all the way to the bottom of the page. You have to go all the way back up looking for where you were at. There we go. Gina asked, why are cemeteries on hilltops? Flooding. Some of it has to do with flooding, but a lot of them, they used the hilltops for cemeteries so that they could save the level ground, all the good ground for farming and houses and schools and things like that. I remember reading one time someone said that there was only two things that you can do to a piece of ground, to land, to make it worthless forever, to make it unusable forever, and that's nuclear waste or a graveyard. And yeah, I guess that kind of makes sense, So once you put somebody in a grave in the ground, it's a graveyard forever unless you start exhuming bodies. So that's kind of how they wind up on hillsides, on mountaintops. But could you imagine though, Gina, right? Someone passes away in the family. You've got this mountaintop family cemetery. You got to figure out how to get this person 2,500 feet up, pick it, whatever, whatever the height is. You've got to figure out how to some way to get this person 2,500 feet up a mountain to bury him. And there's no road. You just get like a little cart and get some oxen and just literally trample, have them trample their way right up the side of the mountain until they drag that cart all the way up there. That is wild stuff to me. That is really wild to me. Is it raining there? We had hail earlier. It was raining earlier, but it's still wet, but it's drying out now. Hopefully tomorrow will be better. Butter and onion sandwich. I can remember, couldn't think of it. I have had an onion sandwich. I think I have. Tammy got to run. Just wanted to tell you how much you love the videos. We feel like family tour, and watching your videos always brightens my mood. Thank you very much, Tammy. It's very nice of you to say. It really is. Thank you. Thank you. Uh, oh, yeah, Hank is really a good guy. He really is. Norma Jean said it's always fun with you two. Well, we try. We you know, I like to play, like to have fun. Uh, Rhonda said, my parents said that if it flooded, a lot of coffins would be floating around. That's why they're on a hill. Some of them probably have had that thought roll through their mind at one point. I would not be surprised. Uh, yeah. Kevin asked that answer the other month. She was scratching at the door. She was looking for mommy, wasn't she? Where my mommy go? uh, excuse me. It did it again. The page jumped on me again. That is really annoying. Okay, there we go. There we go. Dogs, birds, iguanas, and turtles are the best. I always thought, I noticed that it's not just dogs. I had a goldfish. You know, if you have a goldfish, that's all it takes. You're now tied to the goldfish. You're trapped, right? They make a 3-day feeder. A little pellet thing about yay big. You drop it in the tank. You still got 72 hours. You got to be back. So even with a goldfish, you've got a responsibility. So, you know. D&J Dotson, I'm a coal miner and just wondering how the coal mining industry is going in your neck of the woods. Not like it used to be, but from what I understand, there are several that are coming back online. I know a couple that just reopened over the winter, as a matter of fact. There's one up Aflax, and I can think of a couple others that just since winter, since the election, let's just be honest, since the election, yeah, they're starting to, so. Let's see. In your salon, I started calling you the mountain goat. Yeah, I know that name's kind of sticking, ain't it? That mountain goat thing, kind of hanging on, isn't it? uh, did you do a part 2 of that cemetery where the little dog went with you? We did. I think yeah, I believe we did. I believe we did. She was cool, wasn't she? I mean, that was just the fastest little dog on earth. I mean, wow. Could you imagine having the kind of energy that little dog had? Good Lord. She was fast too. She's very friendly though. Just wanted to love on you and you know. Let's see. Ah, we're gonna have to deal with the scroll problem. Makes me have to reset where I'm at about every 30 seconds or so. Uh, okay, yeah. Deb says that here in Ontario, the cemeteries are always plotted out along with the church. Some of them here are like that, but a lot of them are just family land, and there's no church or nothing, nearby, and it's just family land. And what got me like the one up Raw Holler last fall. I mean, a mass grave, and just hear rumors about it, and then that was kind of wild. Just show up and back up on a hill, just a mass grave. Could you imagine what that one was like, getting all those people up there? Uh, be rough, sounds like. Emily was blessed to have a dirt road to the cemetery. and they can put the coffin in the back of the truck. We have a couple of those. We have a few like it, but a lot of them are really bad. Hard to get to. Excuse me. Never been to the Markham Cemetery on the bottom end of Buffalo Mountain on the Del Barton side. Trying to think where that would be. Is that DJ Dotson? Is that? Are you talking right there where, as you're coming down the mountain, you get to the intersection where the bank is on the right? I think it's a Chevron right in front of you at the intersection where the old Lookout View Tavern used to be. I think that might be where you're talking about, but I'm not sure. Uh, mm. We want to. Norma Jean said we want a baby raccoon. Not sure our doxies would approve though. Probably not. Probably not. Mom used to have what was it, baby groundhogs when they were little. She said that they'll come like dogs that you can call them by name. Groundhogs. She said that they'll whistle, so that you can whistle and they'll whistle back at you. And they'll whistle right back. I thought that was pretty cool. But she said that groundhogs that they know their name, that you can teach them, and she said they're just like dogs. I thought that was pretty interesting. Gina, how big of an area do y'all cover, or do you set boundaries? We try not to, but obviously, geographical limitations, that kind of thing. Um, we try to keep the ones where you're doing a day trip, just out and back. We'll usually keep those down to about a 2 hour limit. Um, you got 2 hours over, 2 hours back, and leave a few hours for finding the place and doing the video. So you're kind of limited on those. The ones where you go camping, or stay somewhere. Now those are totally different. You can, go further, take your time, all that kind of stuff. Worked at Old Ben Cole for that Thacker for 21 years. I know exactly where you're talking about, DJ. I know D and J Dotson. I know exactly where you're talking about. Old Ben at Thacker. Sure do. Uh, Wanda Bell just saying, don't forget to hit the like button. We're waiting. I'm just kidding, guys. I'm just playing. Uh, okay, Lincoln City. Yeah. Okay, I know what you're talking about. Uh, keep Frankie Silver 9. Okay, we will. Certainly will. Uh, going up the mountain. It's on the right hand side. Okay, yeah, I know where you're talking about it. Going up to the curves. I certainly do. I know where you're talking about. Gina, nighty night. Love y'all. Please keep up the fantastic work. Good night, Gina. Thank you for coming. Thank you for showing up, and we appreciate the support. Thank you very much. So, have you seen the movie Next to Kin? Yes, I did. Yes, I did see that movie. You know where it shows the gun? Uh, oh, come on. What is his name? Kurt Russell, wasn't it? Wasn't it Kurt Russell? No, wasn't Kurt Russell. Anyway, I forget. He pulls out the bullet, and it says "Made in Ashland," and there's no armory in Ashland. I just remember that about that movie. Next to Ken, I just remember that about that movie. Them showing that bullet and made in Ashland, Kentucky. There's no armory in Ashland, Kentucky. Check this out. Norma Jean said, I had a pet named Rosie. She was fun and cute, but my dad said it's me or the skunk. Did you really have a pet skunk? Is that what you're trying to tell us? Yeah, you really had a pet skunk when you were little? You wild. Y'all wilder than me. Patrick Swayze. That's right. That's who it was. That's exactly right. I couldn't think of it. Patrick Swayze. Uh, uh, good night, Gina. Uh, I'm about ready to call it a night myself, too. It's 8 o'clock. No, I'm just kidding. I've been up since like 6, though. I'm usually up way before daylight. It's handy when you're going camping, not so much when you're, home. But anyway, guys, I've had a good night. This has been a pretty good night. I hope y'all have too. I hope y'all had a nice little evening tonight. And we apologize again earlier about not being able to get the stream kind of up and quite exactly the way we wanted it. But it's a learning curve, I guess. We'll get there. We'll get there. We will get there. But anyway, guys, I just thought, yeah, Roadhouse. That's it. That's it. Anyway, guys, I just wanted to say thanks to all of y'all for coming out and hanging out with us. I've had a good time tonight. I really have, just kind of hanging out and just talking with y'all. And I hope y'all had fun. I really do. I hope y'all enjoyed it. I certainly do. Thank you, Doug. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thank you. Peace out. Well, guys, I guess I better get off here anyway. I've been sitting here for 3 hours. I don't want to, I'm sure y'all got stuff to do, spend all night here hanging out with me and stuff. But guys, we really appreciate y'all. I just wanted to make sure y'all know that. We appreciate everything. Brandon, thank you. We appreciate, like I said, all of y'all for watching and supporting and all of the kind words that y'all have all time got to say to us. That's what that's what keeps it going. That's what keeps you going. You get a lot of you don't usually mention this stuff, but you catch a lot of crap in the comments. You really do doing this. So it's really nice when you hear somebody say something good. It's really nice, you know. But anyway, yes, yes, Sheila, happy Easter, happy Passover, everyone. And thank you all for coming. And with a little bit of luck, we'll be doing this real soon. And we'll get the streaming service set up and we will be able to start streaming, the historic videos and things like that. And as the thing, the premiere plays, we will be able to sit here and actually discuss, the video, the place, the site, all of this stuff. So it should be a whole lot of fun once we get the bugs worked out, get the little details. But anyway, guys, been a Paul. It's been a ball. Thank y'all very much. And y'all have a really good evening. And I guess that's about it, guys. We will see you very soon. We will see you guys very soon. Y'all have a really good night. And I guess it would be inappropriate to end it any other way, right? Leo out. Good night, everybody.